MMOs. Yes, okay. I think we've got it. Yes, we are definitely breaking it down. Hello from Mother Russia. I am the Russian hacker. You have heard of me. I am all over the news. There's only one of us. They always say it like as many, but it's just me. I like to get involved in all presidential elections. It came onto my radar screen that there's something here with people running for an MMO verse or something. I don't know what it is, but I do know that I have got to influence it, which that's what we do. So from here on out, none of your votes will count. Everything will be done through me. I don't know what it is. I don't even know what is an MMO. It sounds like something a cow does badly if it has dyslexia. I'm not even sure. But just so you know, we are aware of you, and we will be sure to influence everything into the negative. And so with that, I want to say, all hail the motherland. Putin is a sexy, sexy bastard, and all of your presidents are worthless and will be taken over by the motherland. So, with that, I want to thank you, and remember, Russian hackers rule.
This is RPMMO Radio.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
A podcast all about role-playing and MMORPGs.
I like what you got. Good job.
With your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Sid, Jazz, Strafe, and Kishless.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players. Welcome to RPMMO Radio. This is our 67th episode. Are you getting too old for this shit? Yeah, I can't put shit in the title because that would get us in trouble, but I can do whatever I want on the podcast and the audio. So, I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me, as always, is my crew, Jazz, Sib, and Strafe.
What's going on, folks?
Some of them in better shape than others. I'm looking at you, Jazz.
Yeah.
And Rahana, our call screener, if you want to call in, you can go to rpmradio.com/discord if you got something you want to say. Also, Yunfei, our moderator in the chat, appreciate it. We do, of course, do this every Saturday at 7 Central Time over at twitch.tv/rpmmoradio. If you haven't, you should favorite it or subscribe to it or, I don't know, thumbs up it. Whatever it is the hip kids do these days, because you should always want to be hip. Otherwise, you'll be square.
Hey, man, but it's hip to be square.
I've heard that. I've actually, from that old rock ballad, I believe that's from.
I mean, this guy, Huey, just said it, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. So appreciate everybody that does that. Of course, podcast is the main focus of this. We do it live so that we can interact with people and have fun, and put it on the podcast so that people can actually hear it more than a handful that are able to get to it at a specific 2-hour period in the 7-day work week. But so with that, how's everybody doing? Everyone doing all right? Doing good? Jazz?
Yeah,
You
I
ever
lost
get
my
rid of that
voice.
plague?
I'm working on getting rid of the plague. I feel better, but as per always, when I get sick, it goes into my lungs, and then in the process of hacking it out, I lose my voice. It's just the way it's always been.
Well, and I will say they're very nice lungs. You have great set of lungs.
Okay. How would you know that?
I don't know. You don't smoke, right? So I would assume they
No,
gotta be fairly
not
clean.
anymore.
Yeah. Well, there
Man's
you
got
go.
a point.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, you have worked at a casino, so I assume there's probably still covered in, I don't know, chip dust. Just
Smoke.
coated in plastic chip
Lots
smoke
of
dust.
smoke.
Yeah. So how's everybody else doing good? I know we've had it's just been a crazy week with people getting sick and real life issues. So it's probably going to be a fairly quick. What have we been doing in roleplay? Because I know what it is for me. So, but
I'm doing better. I mean, I was sick all week as well.
yeah, I know you'd
Luck
been
of the
you'd
draw.
had like just after the episode last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
What timing, right?
You know, hey, fall's here.
During the intro, I thought you turned around and coughed, and I thought you were coughing at me, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm on mute. It's like, why am I getting in trouble? I know. I was like,
no, it's
why
because
am
I was
I
trying
in
not to cough into a microphone, you know, like a
okay.
professional
Well, I
would.
figured that out after a second.
I don't have the real radio stations. They got the mute button where it just like boop instantly mutes them. It's the reverse of the Strafface push to talk.
My shameful push to talk.
Your
sad
shameful
face.
push to talk. It's because you echo. I tried to give you a better
I know.
mic, but you wouldn't take it. So you know who got it? Uni got it. It's on her desk right now.
There was a mic.
There wasn't a mic. I tried to give it to you, and you're like, "No, I don't need it. I'm fine." And I'm pretty sure that's how you said it too. You were like Oscar
I
the
don't-
Grouch for some reason.
I don't remember this day, but fair enough. I'll trust you.
So, speaking of,
I would
things-
almost say I remember it differently, but that's not my line.
but you don't remember it at all.
I
So,
don't remember it at all. There you go.
but yeah, we actually have, for those on watching live in the camera there's the stickers came in. Look at that. We actually have a whole bunch of them, and they're smaller than I thought, but that's because I don't do measurements very well. But that's okay because they still look really good and they're nice and clear. So with that, if you anybody that's wants to support the show, curious to get one, those that are already a Patreon, of course, can get it over like the raid boss of the Truth Bob, who is at the raid boss level, over at patreon.com/RPM Radio. If you join us on our Patreon for $5 and above, give us your address. We will send you a sticker or two. Shinju. Apparently, I'm channeling my ancient Japanese ancestry. I know I don't look it, but
Shinju.
I mean, technically, if we all came from just like two people, I guess technically we're all related. I mean, if you're going that route, or the same fish that came out of the mire, if you're going the evolutionary route, we're all fish people now.
I don't want to be a Mirelurk.
I believe that humans and fish can coexist together peacefully.
And they're yummy.
Yeah, that was an actual quote. I miss him. He was fun. So anyway, but yeah, go over patreon.com/RPM Radio. If you're interested, you want to help support the show, get a neat sticker of Smiley Sorcerer's amazing Drama Llama, we'd appreciate that. And so enough of the self-promotion, because that's not what everybody's here for. What? No, the corporate sponsors, that's what they tell us to say. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay. I'm told that is actually wrong, and that's exactly why we're here.
Uh-huh.
There's that. So anyway, what have we been doing in role play? I'm thinking this week we should go in order of sickness. So the person that's been sick the most recent. I'm feeling okay. I was a little tired earlier. Sib wasn't feeling too great yesterday. Strafay was earlier in the week. Rahanar doesn't count because he's in the call screener thing. So I'm pretty sure that means Jazz. You're still kind of recovering, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I guess you get to go first. What have you been doing in role play? Yeah.
Well, I have been sick, so that has been so much fun. I'm shutting off my phone.
Good move, Jazzy.
Yeah, I just heard it. So,
we
I
all did.
Yes, the Telvanni RP has been off and on all week, so that's been fun. I've been able to focus on Saldrini and Kia. Really, kind of, those are the two people that I really play the most on right now. I did advance Zasher's story slightly. I did a little research. I looked at where he lived. I wrote a little bit for him, although I haven't posted it yet. He was unconscious, due to that poisoned water thing. And the local priest helped him out when the cure finally wandered around, and he decided that he really was going to transfer there. So I put in his transfer papers today so that he can be in Genesis. Is that how you say it?
I think it's Genesis or
Genesis?
Or
I thought it was
Genesis.
yeah, I don't
know.
It's one of them. It's one of them dark elf words. We don't really care how they say it. We're just going to say
I
it
believe
however
it's called-
we feel like.
Nissus, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Nissus,
I think the G is silent.
That would make sense.
Yeah, because otherwise, Genesis. I mean, sounds.
Yeah, but they have a temple sort of there. So I went there.
Hey,
and looked
Jazz.
around.
Jazz.
What?
I live in Genesis.
You're such a Genesis.
That's out there by Forney, man.
Right, you just got, okay, where you get there, Jazz, is you got to go down the long dirt road, okay, go over the broken bridge. All right, now when you get to where the old barn used to be, you want to take a left, not a right, which is the only way you can go, but you want to take a left.
Don't mind them cows. They get out of your way.
Uh-huh.
So what you do?
Anyway, so his house is right near there, so it made sense. So I kind of wandered around there. They have ordinators at the temple, so that works nicely for him.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm going to put him, at least for now, since I don't really have a lot of time to play him, and there hasn't been much interest in with both Stray and Chris. I'm not Chris. Sib taking a break. I really don't have anybody to roleplay with because those are the only people that ever talk to my tune.
Way to out us, Jazz.
No,
yeah,
sorry.
they didn't want to be associated with you.
No, I put Hilvin up at that same place. Genesis.
Oh, did you?
Genesis. Yeah.
You know what that means?
That's where she's actually.
Well, good. Then they
Her
can be
backstory
friends,
is
and I'll write
fine.
that into his journal.
You know what I
We're
smell?
working together.
Strafe. Hey, Strafe.
Yes.
I smell ERP coming on for them.
Oh my.
Oh my.
So okay, let me ask you: if that,
I suspect,
if her character's a dude and my character's a chick, is that still girl on girl or is that guy on girl?
It's guy on girl, girl. I can do both. I'm multi-talented.
Well. I know the Ice Princess eventually.
Sorry to mean.
Sib is gonna Sib. You're gonna choke her,
Yeah.
which she might like.
I actually.
Sorry.
Never mind.
No,
Get back on Disney and I'll try to do that.
Jazz.
What?
Okay, so we got another topic. Speaking of Jazz liking, we actually have a story I was going to get to from Pornhub, but we'll go to the rest of this after that. Because where else would you leak Amazon's new MMO New World but Pornhub?
That makes sense.
Right, which we'll talk about here in a minute. I didn't put it on there, but I wanted to. Since it's an MMO, we need to go over it. It actually looked pretty good.
Okay.
So what else did you have other than
So,
bailing all the people that you want to be associated with?
We'll have to sit there and talk sometime, Deb, about them being friends. That'll be nice that he has somebody else there that he knows. I haven't had a chance to talk to Strafe if he's going to move there with his
I was
character.
about to say, I see Nissus in my future, sadly.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to stick it out with Ashen over there in the crazy house, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I really haven't had much of a chance to RP with anybody on Zasher lately, so I think this probably works for now. My Talvani character is really getting most of the RP right now. And of course, Kia, because she's the guild leader. So that's really it. It was actually a pretty laid back week because I didn't feel good. So
Yeah. And thank you for the follow, Batantonia.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
If I said it right, and if I didn't, I don't know. Sounded out phonetically. And apparently everyone is saying it's pronounced Genesis, I don't know, or Gen-usis. I'm just going to keep saying it's Genesis, because
Nice.
I would say Nissus. That would be my.
I'm going to say it's Genesis just because I like to say things wrong and be a jerk.
I've heard it pronounced more often like Azure, Allah, and Insomnia.
Nisus.
Nisus.
Yeah, it's
Nisus.
Genesis. It's Genesis.
Yeah, if we get Wakachota on here and he's the guru on Morrowind, he'll probably set us straight if he's awake.
Well, I'm sure if I go there and do a couple of the quests, I'll hear how they say the town. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's Genesis. But they say it like this. And also thank you, Eon Black, and Reddit Boy 137 for following. Wow, look at that. 3 people in like
in a row.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Followers.
And that was one of the other ones. Again, it's just those three. It's apparently the sound effect on the podcast has a delay. it did it 1, 2, but they all did it at the same time, and then it was like, sorry, I'm on a union break. Okay, ding. All right.
Yeah, she says she's heard it several times. Azure, Ale, Nisus.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Genesis.
You're
Oh,
such
sigh.
What? That's how it's pronounced.
I feel you. Lesai.
Lesai. Ugh. Gross. I thought you were Indian, not French. Ugh. Gross.
I am. If you saw a picture of me, I'm definitely Native American.
Get my lawyer on the phone. We're gonna have to annul this marriage. I did not know that there was Frenchness involved.
My
Lay
goodness.
gross. So I'll get to what I've been doing in roleplay. Nothing. Haven't had a chance to roleplay a single time this week. I've been extremely busy in real life, and it just was not going to happen. So diddly shit is what I wrote down. That's what I did in roleplay this week. Diddly shit. You're welcome. So how about you, Sib? About the same.
Pretty much the same. A lot of real life stuff going on. But I did get to RP with Strafay before real life decided to slap me in the face and knock me down and then throw me over a cliff. But, pretty much.
It beat
But
me
we
to
do
it.
it ruin hunting. Was it ruin hunting, Strafay? Help me out here, because I know you've been sick too. But
Yeah, we were looking for a way to translate the inscription on the artifact we covered in the last.
we just
delve.
hung out and went to a delve and ran around, and it was fun. And we RP'd through that. But other than that, that was about it. Hopefully this next week I'll be able to get back into it. I know I've
Yeah.
had a lot of weird stuff going on the last couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Yunfei came over and helped me put my Halloween yard together. It's not role play, but we did play. I mean, we made the yard fun and spooky and put lights up, and she had fun playing with my undead babies, which is really the only kind of babies you should have in role play.
Undead babies.
Would they be considered zombie or vampire babies, maybe?
Well, some of them are, because there's the spider baby. There's the one with multiple arms. We do have a wolf baby.
I
and
wonder
we
what
have a
happened to my
vampire
little spider baby.
We also have one baby that's cut in half, and then the two halves were sewn together in the middle. Don't ask how he goes to the bathroom. I'm just saying one of them has to wear a diaper on their head.
Oh no!
It's like the human centipede, but the other way.
So wrong.
Thank you. All right, so what about you? Or was that it, Sib?
That was all I
Yeah,
had. That's it.
yeah. Then we got super busy. So what about you, Strafay? Anything else?
Man, I started feeling like crap Monday. I made it for poetry hour. There was a nice turnout. The only problem with this poetry reading, like the same four of us, would read something, and everybody else would be like shuffling around, looking at each other nervous, like, I ain't got nothing to say. I'm gonna stand back here because I'm cool. Looking at you, Quinn. Looking at you, Serenade. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, it was
Strafay,
very
whatever you do,
fun.
don't call them out.
Too late.
Oh,
was very-
I tried to stop you. I tried.
It was fun, but man, towards the end of that poetry deal, I was not feeling good. I had to hand it over to Jazz, and whatever happened after that, she'll have to tell you about it because I don't remember it.
It was pretty mundane. We just drank and talked. So
Some people
Yeah.
were holding up the walls with their shoulders, that kind of thing.
yeah, we always have the edgy folks.
There was that RP that Sibs talked about where we went on a random RP rune hunt in the world,
That's
some
cool.
lead runs. And other than that, I was decorated. And dude, I went to bed early all week. I was that sick.
Oof. You know you're not feeling good when you go to bed like a responsible adult.
I know. I was
Ugh.
like, I'm getting old.
I'm getting older.
Getting old, Edson.
But yeah, we, for those asking, yeah, I do a huge Halloween yard every year. I've got I've been,
Ginormous.
yeah. We give
It's
away
not
full size.
natural.
We give away full size candy bars because honestly, if the kid reaches our house, they fucking earned it. I'll be honest. We have grown parents that don't make it to the front of our house. I'm not even joking. Last year, I made a woman spill her wine.
All
Because
over
we're in
herself.
Oklahoma, of course, she was trick or treating with a glass of wine in her hand. But I snuck
Of
up
course.
behind her and just was like, "Hello there," in the Pennywise costume, and she tripped over herself and fell down and spilled her drink everywhere. And
I'm not going to be able to do it
was
this
glorious.
year, Ashton, but another Halloween, I'm totally down to come help you scare
Yeah.
folks.
No, anytime you can. You know when it comes around. I mean, it is.
I do.
Yeah, and we actually hopefully we'll do something special because I love Halloween so much. We're hoping to do a special event different than last year where we did there was only the three of us, not the entire crew we have now. We all did scary stories. This year we're hoping to do something maybe like an audio drama. Audio drama. It's like but like the old radio dramas like that they used to do back in the 40s and 50s and I guess 60s.
I do got a pretty
until
sweet
video
Michael
killed the radio
Myers
star.
outfit.
What's that?
I do have a pretty sweet Michael Myers outfit to contribute.
Yeah,
If you
I've seen you in
do
that. It
that.
actually looks pretty good. And I know you're looking forward to that. That's coming out soon, isn't it?
Next Friday.
Next Friday? Yeah.
Don't look for me. I will be at the movie house. Don't call me, because my phone will be taken apart.
You'll be at the old movie house, will you? Well, gee
Yes, I will.
willikers.
At the picture show.
At the picture show. Out here they still have the guy with the piano playing it up front.
Oh, that's fancy. That's live music.
That's right. No, they don't. I don't know that you could actually. We've only got the one. What the drive-in theater? It burned down, and the community came together to try to rebuild it.
We still got one way
Yeah.
south of Dallas.
But
I mean-
if last I saw, I think they said that there's less than 50 of those drive-ins around in the United States now, which is sad.
It
It's
is
just sad. That's such a great experience. We had one here where I live in Broken Arrow, but it blew down in a tornado gust winds a long time ago, and they just never rebuilt it. It's still a vacant lot, and they still have the poles sticking out, and
Yeah.
they take care of it. They mow it, but there's just no screen. It's
That sucks.
sad. So, all right. Well, with that, before we get to our advertisement, there was some news in the MMO world today. For those that aren't aware, Amazon's actually making an MMO because why wouldn't they? Our new overlords between Amazon and Google. It will be a fight to see which one of us gets us to the dystopian future first. My money is going to be on Google because of the AI. Honestly, that will put them over the top. But Amazon's creating. It's called a New World, or just New World. There's no A in it. It actually looks surprisingly good, but it's set in America during like the Spanish conquistador time. And contrary to what I first thought when I heard of it, when I was like, so are you just going to go around and non-politically correcting slaughter groups of Indians? Turns out, no, that's not what you'll do. Which is good, because that probably would be a very short-lived MMO. But funny enough, there was 2 hours of gameplay footage leaked a week ago on, of all things, Pornhub. Because why not?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that one out. I don't understand.
I guess the restrictions are less than something like YouTube, which probably would have taken it down immediately. I mean,
Oh, that's
I got an
true.
idea.
I would assume Pornhub allows more stuff to be on there than, say, YouTube. Just going off the first 4 letters of it.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
have a broader audience of freaking single dudes going off new MMO right there at that particular spot, and maybe that was
That's-
genius.
That's probably true. But yeah,
Sad,
it got leaked.
but genius.
Eventually, it did get taken down. But I watched some of the footage. I was there just purely for MMO reasons. That's the only reason I was there. I swear, honey. I swear. That was it. That, or it was because it was on websites at that point. Because
Are you swearing at me?
What? No, I was talking to the other honey. Strafe.
We weren't supposed to talk about that, broke.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's not gay if your
So,
clothes
yeah.
are on.
Oh my god.
That's what I heard. Anyway, it actually looks surprisingly good, believe it or not. It's kind of got... I think it actually might be a decent roleplay kind of game, funny enough. it's supposed to have it's still up in the air, but it's going to have like their web cloud technology have like 10,000 players per server, give or take. So pretty big servers. But it's like a survival, kind of like a survival game where like you do slaughter buffalo, which that tracks. Which, by the way, if you've never had a buffalo burger, delicious. Jazz knows.
Oh yes, very much so.
And look at that. Pornhub's blocked in the Twitch chat. That's not a shock.
Yeah, well, that's what we do pay it for.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. But well, there's not a shock. But no, I think it was an alpha version. And for alpha, everyone's like, "Oh, it looks like." Actually, for alpha, it looks surprisingly good. Very detailed. You gather resources. You can build your own towns and communities. Apparently, on plots of land. I guess for Strafe, it would be kind of like it looked like kind of what you would do. They didn't have that in there, but from the sound of it, it sounds like what we did in Star Wars Galaxies, where you actually have a physical plot of land in the game, not just an instanced thing. So yeah, it could actually be they've got progression elements like you level the skills, you can put points into it. It's not class based again like Star Wars Galaxies. It's more based on the skills that you use and level up through that. Which
reminds me, I need to check out my town lock later.
Oh
Thanks.
Yeah. No problem. That's what I'm here for. That was the entire point
do you get to play as any native peoples, or are you gonna just Spaniard dudes?
It's still, it's not. I don't think it's known yet. I mean, obviously, the Spaniard dude thing is definitely a thing because the guys all have the conquistador hats with that, that weird fin in the middle and the brim around the edge. So,
good old conquistadores.
Conquistadores. But yeah, so it's definitely got elements of that. I don't think it's like literally taking out of the pages of history because there are also things that look like almost like a zombie like creature. That was all rotting and stuff like that because, I mean, well, if they're in New Orleans area, it's possible. Just
Can
saying.
we please have one game that doesn't have zombies in it? Just one!
Hey, man, get the great skunk ape out there.
Matrix Online, that didn't have any zombies. But
Except for everybody playing the game thinking it's real life.
Right, there was that. But yeah, Matrix Online didn't have zombies, but it did have the ghosts and the werewolf guys because they were in the, in the movie. So, of course, they had to translate into the game. But, yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. We'll just have to wait and see. It was a alpha leak, so very little information came out on it. But it was enough to actually pique my interest a little bit and make me put a little check mark next to it and keep an eye on it. So, if you're looking for an MMO out there, and it's been a very dry spell for new MMOs that are not giant turds.
Sid, they make Cherokee playable. I'm just saying. Man, go ground pound somebody.
Apache's where it's at. Oh, I mean, no, Cherokees are great. Apaches are way cooler.
This guy.
Apaches are just cooler. They just sound. I mean, I don't know.
They were also meaner and better warrior.
Exactly. We named our nice attack helicopters the Apache, not the Cherokee. So I'm just saying.
Hey.
Just saying. Just saying. So
I mean, it's right.
You just keep saying.
I'm saying
keep
it.
Digging
I'm
a hole.
saying it. I'm saying what every white man out there is thinking.
Ultimately, you have to go to sleep next to Darth Sibbs. I mean, you just keep digging that hole, bro.
I wake up at night and she's standing over my side of the bed silently. I don't know what to do.
I still believe you, Ash.
She's always got a pillow in one hand and she's just thinking it over. Like, it's tonight the night.
Just tonight.
Yeah.
Might
yeah, I don't know. So, all right. Well, that's all the MMO talk we've got for that. So with that, go ahead and do a word from our sponsor before we get into our main topic. And so with that, here we go. Coming this fall to the RPR network, 2 unlikely role players are put together to solve a story. Jazz, the grizzled role player that's been around the block and seen it all,
and is just 5 days from retirement.
I'm just 5 days from retirement.
The other, Sib, a plucky newbie filled with wide-eyed optimism and a million ideas from her fan fiction.
This is just like my fan fiction. OMG. I have so many ideas.
Together, they must take on their biggest challenge, getting along.
You know what? Oh my gosh. I think we should check out the Lycan dens for information. I have a lot of friends there.
Lycans are only good for one thing: catching silver.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're so funny. Oh my gosh, you're just so funny. Lycans can't catch silver. It hurts them.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Watch as they form the bonds of friendship through adversity.
You know what? Oh my gosh, we should be friends. We should be friends. Besties!
And solve the event organizer's biggest mystery, which he hasn't figured out yet, because he's flying by the seat of his pants and totally gonna act as if he, had an idea of what he was gonna do the entire time, and then it kind of all comes together at the end, and it seems like it was, that way the entire time instead of him throwing shit together at the last minute and waiting for stuff to stick. So tune in for Lethal Role Players. Friendship is Magic. Only on the RPR Network.
Ugh, I can't wait for retirement.
Come on, come on, come on.
Well, that sounds awful. That'll probably go as well as the Roseanne spinoff, The Connors.
I was about to say the same thing, sir.
No, I actually think it looks kind of good. I'm going to see before I judge. But it's probably going to fall flat on its face.
Yeah, but you probably thought the Ghostbusters with all the women in it was going to be good too, so...
No, I didn't
No, I'm
like
kidding.
I only liked the first role. The Ghostbusters was kind of cool. After that, it was stupid.
The second one did get a little silly, but you know what? Still Bill fucking Murray.
Louis
That's
Tully
true.
charging up the ramp by himself. I'll never forget. With those earmuffs.
With the earmuffs, yeah, because it was cold outside in New
Make
York.
good decisions. Make good decisions. Eat
Oh,
your breakfast. I
man.
loved it.
It looks like a giant Jell-O mold. I don't like Jell-O. Oh, there's always room for Jell-O. So instead of quoting Ghostbusters all day, which is something I could
Which
do.
you could probably do.
Yeah, I could. Tell them about the Twinkie.
That's a big damn Twinkie.
All right, so this is something that kind of came up. Jazz had pinged me with this one day, and it's funny because I had already been thinking, like, man, at times I'm starting to wonder if I'm just getting too old for this shit. I'm just so surly and get annoyed by the dumbest things that used to be fun. So, yeah. But are you getting too old for roleplay? I mean, are you? I mean, come on. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're being silly. Grow up. Nah, just kidding. So there are a lot of varied styles of RP. The way people type, and not just like speed, but like how they write their thoughts out, the way they actually author or write themselves. The ideas they have or enjoy, characters they like to play and be around, guilds, friends, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. So are you getting too old for it, though? And the answer I'm finding as I'm getting older is kind of an evolving one. Excuse me, I got the hiccups really bad all of a sudden. Because the older I've gotten, and the more I've seen, the more I don't enjoy repeating the same story or meeting the same two-dimensional characters, or also making them, for that matter. For the 4,782nd time. The requirements of what it takes to keep roleplay fun for me has shifted a lot. Like things like the kidnappings, which we always make fun of, people crossbred with something most Lycan and vampire stuff. And this is me speaking for myself.
Terrible
99% of that stuff is I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. It's not new. It's new for the people doing it, but for me, it doesn't hold any interest. And I mean, this is just me. I've been doing this for so freaking
No,
long.
I think that's accurate. That after you've role played for a long period of time, and I've not just role played. I mean, in an MMO, I've role played in LARPs. I've role played. I've been a writer. And I think after a while, you just reach that saturation point where you're like, they have to arrive at that conclusion. They have to look at their silly story and realize that they're a Mary Sue. And nothing you can really say is going to make them see that they're a Mary Sue. So all that you can really do is just kind of nod and smile and go, oh, yeah, that's fascinating, and try to find something else to keep you from dying of boredom.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that, Jazz, when we, especially in the MMOs, and Sib, Strafei, all of us, we've all done a lot of the same storylines with each other or with other people, and, years and years and years of doing that, you've seen it already. So what do you start looking for that's, different? For me, I've seen, some shit, at 39 years old. It's 39-year-old me has done and seen a lot more things, experienced more, learned more than I had when I was 25-year-old me. That's 15 years worth of experience and difference and life just happening, jobs, family, friends, all that stuff. And what that does as you get older, I mean, just for anybody that's still young in their 20s or something like that, I mean, look at your 15-year-old self for, like a point of origin on that. Because the way you look at 25 at your 15-year-old self is the way at 30-something you're going to look at your 25-year-old self. You don't know how or why, but trust me, and I can only imagine 50-year-old me is going to look back at 40-year-old me like, oh my God, what a dumbass.
All you got to do is go look at your old MySpace and you'll cringe. Beyond cringe.
Yeah, but man, it had Linkin Park on there when people would come to my page.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, it's just something that seems to have evolved, and I know the only reason I brought it up too was this is kind of Jazz's idea when she poked me, because I'd been thinking of it, like it's been something that's been brewing in my head. Just watching the way people interact and things like that in communities and in guilds and stuff. Some of it, it's like it doesn't bother me, but I'm like, oh, that's just dumb. Sometimes it just gets so far out there that I don't connect with it anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
I used to be able to just roll my eyes and keep playing. There's always been that person that has to be a little bit of everything, and everything's perfect.
Right.
And I've done this and I've done that, and I know everything, and I've been everything, and I'm the best. You always have the Mary Sues. You always have the people,
the edgelords, and
edgelords. You always have these people, always. But I've noticed in the last 5 or 6 years, when I came back from being burnt out,
yeah,
I realized that my tolerance for stupidity was gone. And that's why I asked you, do you think maybe we're just too old?
Yeah, which is a good
I
problem,
hesitate to
or a
think
good question.
that way.
Yeah,
but I know that a lot of people age out of role play and they stop coming back, and I think this is why.
One of my
There's
symptoms,
just
Jazz,
so much bullshit, they just can't wade through it anymore, and they go find something else to do.
one of my symptoms is I see that some that same derp, I immediately ignore them. I don't interact with them. I just ignore they exist, and that ain't right. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, I don't want to deal with that.
You don't
crap.
have the
I've seen
patience
that
for
50
it.
times.
Yeah.
I really think it's the age, like you guys, it's the difference in ages, because it's just like, it's hard to be friends with somebody when you're, 40, when they're a teenager.
We also want more developed, interesting storylines instead of just, look at me, I'm a shiny vampire, look at my teeth.
And that's one of the things.
Oh my God!
Because I want to say, crack your teeth,
very
bro.
True, they do that.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah.
Look at my teeth.
My teeth are always out. Sorry.
I want to punch him out every time that happens in roleplay.
Tangent. There was an episode I still remember to this day of Tales from the Crypt with a vampire. And before he would ever turn or bite anybody, he would always ask them if they've had any dental surgery in the last 24 hours. Because it would fuck up their teeth as they grew in. I don't know why that's always stuck with me. It was one of those cheesy episodes of Tales from the Crypt. But, yeah, Insomniac. I was reading Insomniac's thing because they say I'm 20, and basically there are so many things I can't tolerate in roleplay anymore, and they're only 20, and that's what I was going to get to with what you were saying, Sip, too. With Kishmas, he's 22.
Yeah, that's
formerly
true.
21 for those keeping track. But he gets tired of the shit, so it makes me wonder too if it's not just the age, but if it's the kind of people sometimes are now coming into roleplay. And
I think there's an awful lot of Mary Sue. I saw it in anime, so I'm going to do it here. Screw lore. I can't tell you, and it's off on a tangent a little bit, but I go to the Rift, as you know, to Riften, and I sit and I watch the roleplay, more or less kind of like you watch. For me, it's just eat popcorn, watch. And I watch all the OOC crap that comes down and all the bickering and all the talking. And I've noticed in the last 6 months, there's been an uptick in I can RP whatever I want. You need to just accept it and quit trying to harsh my mellow for lack of a better
that
word.
kind of sounds like real life.
Wow, Jazz isn't showing her age at all.
No, not at all.
You're
Sorry.
totally harsh my mellow, man.
So
Ian Black in the chat.
And I have
go ahead,
said
Jazz.
in OOC, every now and then I'll pipe up and say, follow lore. Why are you even a role player?
Yeah.
What's the point of being in a world if you're not going to follow the lore?
And that goes back to the Drama Llama episode.
Yeah, it does. it goes right back to it. And I've noticed, I just, like Strafe said, people start that nonsense and I just tune them out. And I know that's not fair, but the minute that they start that Mary Sue, I can be anything you can be, and I can do it better. Oh, I actually can do this. Let me help you with this because I'm perfect at this. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm going to punch the next person that does
I
that.
almost
have a
started
theory.
singing the song.
You just destroyed the narrative, right?
I do have a theory about it, y'all.
Thank you.
Because even Kishmas does the same thing. I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's complexity. There's no depth of complexity in some of these people's RP. Therefore, it's like, you're not interesting. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go see a B movie when I can go watch a really
basic
awesome movie.
Okay, do you think?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I know me and Ashton have had this discussion before. Some people have no imagination. Like they can't think outside the box, and their role play.
That's why they
consists
name
of-
their character after some supervillain instead of making up their own name.
Do you think that's a lot of the
I
the
think
problem?
I think
Yeah,
our
I
because
tolerance,
it's
and
generic.
I think it's a combination of the two. As you're older, you get your tolerance for that. Like, oh, it's all right, they're trying, goes down. Like,
Yes.
And one other thing, real quick too. Ian Black says, I don't know. I know D&D groups that hold together well into their 60s. Could it be the medium rather than the age of that burns? Blah, blah. Could it be the medium rather than the age that burns folks out? And it could be the medium, but it could be that.
People,
but in a D&D thing too, when you're role playing around the table, it's a smaller group. You have the set time, and especially if you're in your 60s and 50s, 60s, and you're getting up there, you're probably actually doing more of the actual role play and following. And with D&D, you're definitely required to follow the lore because the DM's going to kick your ass out of the group if you don't. Whereas with the medium of MMO, we don't have that ability. I mean, the most we could do is block them. But
I think the MMO genre in and of itself is actively promoting, because most MMOs do not want role players. They don't make their game for role players. And role players have to kind of make their own little niche in order to fit in to the game. And that in and of itself, psychologically, I think pulls in people who desperately want attention, and maybe they're not getting it in their real life and they're young. I mean, I've been on my own since I was 15, but most 15 to 18-year-olds have never paid a bill, have never had more than a part-time job.
They can stay on their parents' insurance till they're 26 now. I mean, I don't know about you. 26-year-old, I was not a kid anymore. I mean, given I'm kind of glad to be able to help my kid out as they get on their feet, but
Yeah,
the second
I will
she
certainly
moves
do
out,
that for my kids. Yeah,
she's on her own. You know, when you move out, you're on your own. Sorry, I ain't gonna keep paying. You know, I'm not that that snotty chick that was saying she doesn't understand how people can't live in New York when, you know, she's going up to the Hamptons and her grandparents give her $1,000 and her parents
yeah,
pay
she
her
can
all her
kiss
bills.
my entire
And
ass.
she was like, it just, you know, and she works at her job that pays like, she's like, it's easy. I get paid 60,000, or I think it was like 60,000, and I have no problem living in New York. Well, yeah, because your family is supplementing the other 100,000 it costs to live there. You psycho.
You know, it's funny because at that age, I asked my old man, "Hey, can we go to the doctor?" He's like, "Nope, can't afford it." They asked for insurance at the school. Ha, that's funny. I was like, "Oh, well, all right." No insurance on me since I was 12 years old on until now, obviously. But when I was like that age, like,
Yeah.
that crap didn't exist and it didn't matter.
Yeah, and it's you know, with those kinds of, it's got to be a combination of the mentality. And I think as I've gotten older, I don't, you know, the one of the things you were talking about, you know, there was a character in one of our guilds that they're doing the transgender thing, which is fine. I don't care. But the problem with it is they had a ring that like a fucking Sailor Moon episode. They just turned it on and it went penis, no penis, boobs, no boobs. It was just like that. It just, you know, they just, it was any outie.
Hang on, Ashton. I just got the ring on. I have a strange desire for ice cream now in a sappy movie.
I was gonna say I kind of always feel like ice cream. I don't really think that's a.
Yeah. Same.
Now, if you say you have a
yeah.
desire for pickles and ice cream, now we can talk. And also, you should probably take a pregnancy test because there's something wrong there. And don't switch back
But
to
yeah,
male while
I
you're
think-
pregnant because that's going to screw up. But you know, it was a
think that, yeah,
severely
there's-
overpowered item
It's
that
not a
shouldn't
Puma.
exist in lore and as Elder Scrolls of all things. You know, that's, you know, there's a tolerance for that kind of stuff in the game and that nobody cares about. You know, but when
I
you're
think because guilds are
God-modding it.
because the round. I think another thing, and I've been thinking about this since we started talking about doing this episode. I thought a lot about it this week because I had a lot of time to just lay there and stare at the wall because I felt like crap. And I was going somewhere and now I forgot. God damn it!
Talking about old age.
Well, Ian Black, Eon Black, yeah, they're just playing Fudas. No reason to make it weird. you apparently
Okay.
that's the Dick
I
chick
got
thing
it now.
from
I remember where I
Final
was going
Fantasy
with this.
14 has a lot of those role players. Oddly enough, a lot of role players have dicks.
Yeah,
All right, you got it,
chicks and
Jess?
dicks. I got it. So the roleplay community, and I do believe this, has been shrinking for quite some time. A lot of the older role players left because of this, what we're talking about. And so guilds are competing for good role players or just role players, period.
Less resources.
There's less resources. So they don't want to pitch a fit about lore because then they'll lose. Well, look what happened to us. We put our foot down and said, we're not going to change the entire make and model of the guild to make you happy.
Right.
And we lost, 8-9 people over the course of 2 weeks as they all kind of filtered out that we're all following that little group. And we lost a couple people who saw the people had left, so they left. You know, it's a thing. It just kind of happens. That's what happens.
Right. Well, and
And-
that's always happened like that.
Yeah, and it's always happened like that. We're used to it. I don't think it's a big deal. But I had a couple people throw up the what's happening? Why did all those people leave? We had some drama. We handled it. They left. It's very simple.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guilds aren't willing to do that because then they lose members. And so slowly but surely, the whole lore, sticking to lore, has been eroded away because they want to keep members. And those of us that are old enough to say, I don't care.
Right. Yeah. Well,
You know, we're
oh.
burning out because we're surrounded by this all the time.
okay. So here's a thought: does that play into the Facebook culture kind of? You know, where
Yes.
the more so you look on someone's page. You know, you look on my page. Every person that I'm friended with on there, I know them. They're family or they're friends. But then you click on someone else, and they've got like 1,500 friends on Facebook. It's like you don't know 1,500 people. Why? You know, it's all about It's just all about gathering numbers, you know,
Yes.
and stuff like that. So as it come, you know, it's
It's
what
the Facebook culture
the-
that has changed kind of how you want likes. You want people to like and see what you're writing and tell you that you're doing a great job. Oh, look at that piece of art. You're wonderful.
You
It's
want
a,
that. You want that
It's a
thumbs
dopamine
up.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
dopamine hit. It's
Yeah.
an instant gratification. I was going to chime in. I couldn't find a good break to add on to Jazz's thing. I think she's right. We're also dealing with a new generation that is not patient, and they're dealing with instant gratification, and they don't care about rules. A lot of them never have suffered. That's
No.
beside the point. But a lot of it's just, we don't care. I want to do what I want to kind of do mentality.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that in a lot of the guilds that I've been in over the years, I end up leaving or they ask me to leave because I put my foot down and say, that's not lore.
Right.
I mean, we deal with that all the time, even in our guild, that line where, and there are a couple people that push that envelope as far as they can. And I'm like right on the edge of saying, stop it. I haven't yet, but you know, when I'm getting there, they're pushing that envelope quite a bit. And I'm not sure what to do about that. How do you
Right.
fix that?
I don't know that you can, other than just, you know, stop growing old, I guess. But it's
You got to look for quality like dudes like
I like-
Ericus that actually appreciate story and actually are down for what the game's
right,
about.
which I think well, that's the other thing is I like Great Whoopdini in the chat. Damn kids these days and your Facebooks and your MySpaces, RPMO Radio 2018, which is kind of close, but you know, it's said tongue in cheek, but at the same time, we're in a, you know, think of how quickly the technology has moved along. You know, we went from when we were first playing our games. We were nerds. We were dorks. You talk to somebody at work about how you got into a fight on a forum because, you know, the social medias didn't exist then. And they'd look at you, or AOL Instant Messenger, and they'd look at you like you were a jackass, you know. But then, I think 2005, the iPhone comes out. Text messaging starts to become an easy thing. The internet starts to become more and more available to everybody. And then the internet explodes. You know, as soon as it hit DSL and high speeds, and it wasn't just the, you know, AOL shop direct dial up and, you know, net stream, whatever it was. Everything changed. It went for the internet and online gaming and role playing stuff went from being something you did as a nerd in your dungeon on, you know, like Stranger Things to. It's accepted anywhere. Anybody now not online, they're looked at like a freak. You look at them
Passion.
like they got two heads.
Remember the days you came into work tired and and your buddy's like, "Hey, what's going on?" You look exhausted. Oh man, we camped for 2 freaking days. I finally got my rare in EQ.
Yeah, and
They're
EverQuest.
like, What's EQ?
Yeah,
You're like, "Oh yeah,
it's an
a game."
online game.
Then you got to
it's-
explain it, and they keep looking at you
Right,
like
and they're
you're a
just
space
like,
alien.
so you play in another. Okay, well, you're just weird. Yeah, shut up. You watched a football game for 8 hours yesterday, so screw you. But no, it's we're in a technological and cultural flux because of this stuff. I'm honestly, I think a lot of that leaks into the role play that we've been growing up with it and getting older with it, but now as it's evolving, you know, it's gonna. I think it's that pendulum thing where it's gonna swing real crazy far one way, and then swing back, and it'll probably even out eventually. But right now, we're in the throes of, you know, there's new kids and the new way kids are growing up with technology. You know, I mean, you go out in public and you look at a kid and he's got a phone in his hand. You know, there's never not a screen in front of almost everybody these days. And the more and more they're growing up with it, I think that affects their sensibilities and their ability to, you know, it's what people say about, you know, homeschool kids. Oh, they don't know how to work in social situations. Well, and neither does anybody growing up on social media. They just yell and shout at everybody, and if they don't get their way, they throw a fit. And there's a lot of role players that fit that thing. Not everybody. And again, we're speaking in generalities here. But this is, you know, it's Whoopdini. It's an awkward transitional period right now. We're in the puberty stage of this new technology. You know, it's hair's growing in funny places. You start looking at, you know, girls differently. You know, maybe that one that's always been your friend. You're like, you know, she's kind of purty. You know, that kind of thing. But it's a weird transition, and as I'm almost 40. Jazz, I think, is almost 80. No, I was expecting a response there, but yeah. Okay.
I'm losing my connections.
Ah,
no,
perfect.
Jazz
Okay,
is
well,
not 80. Thank you.
it's not the years, it's the mileage, Jazz.
Uh-huh.
An episode. Check it out.
You know I love you, you old bat.
No, I think you're right, and I never thought about that exact point, but it's a very salient point that
You're allowed to show your shock
what?
that I made a salient point.
Oh, yeah, I was a little bit shocked.
No, I know.
But that we started out, like when I first started playing EQ2, our internet connection was iffy at best, and it was very, very slow compared to the way it is now.
Right.
And EQ kind of grew up and started adding more and more bandwidth, and the game expanded rapidly as people's connections expanded. And I remember struggling because I lived in the rural areas and we didn't have the necessary BODs and connection to keep up with the game sometimes. And I would have to, Jason would not be able to be on if I was on.
Yeah.
We couldn't often be on at the same time.
God
Or
help
we
you if
were,
somebody called the house.
Yeah,
Oh,
and if somebody called the house, you'd get booted off. I mean, that's the way it was. And now everybody has
Oh yeah, we
fast internet,
we
and
don't even have
all
cable.
of these people.
Yeah.
Someone calling while you're on dial-up when you're in the raid of Plane of Fear. I'm just saying.
Oh God,
there's no more
yeah.
terror than that.
Yeah, and for those, and when EverQuest 1, I mean that was
Plane
on
of Fear, rather.
that was 10 or 15K speeds. You know, that game ran on that kind of a connection. Meanwhile here we've got ours is 100 megabits per second. It's what we have running because we have to do the show, and also we don't have cable. We stream everything in the house. All our devices are connected to our Wi-Fi. So yeah, we just spend the money on that.
And we have a teenager that is a data hog.
Oh yeah, I don't even know where it's going. He must be looking at all those New World videos. That's what it's got to be.
He is a data hog.
Actually, he downloads a shit ton of games. I can always hear him up. There's one we always hear cussing. So yeah, it makes me wonder if it's got to be a combination, because I do. I'm older, and I know I get grumpier with just basic stupidity. Like I still like being. I mean, we're doing a fucking podcast on role playing. Obviously, the maturity is not entirely there. I can have a good time. I know how to
Trust
joke, but
me, the maturity is not there.
the maturity is
I
not
know.
there. Yeah, she farted the other day, and I was laughing. She said, "Don't laugh at me." I said, "I can't help it. It's a fart."
You're not supposed to say things like that.
Oh, but it didn't stink. Is that better?
I'm gonna say it probably did.
That's what she always tells me. But it doesn't stink.
I'm not talking to you the rest of the night.
She's probably turning red over there. It's okay. I farted
That
4
Vader
times
mask,
while I was
man.
saying this. But so all right. So let's so what is it? What is it that kind of changes? I mean, there's a lot of things to this. It really is probably, if we really want to go into it, far deeper than most people are willing to give it credit for, because we're stupid role play MMO show. But one of the things too is maturity. If I get it. RP isn't mature. We get it. But then that if that's the case, if role playing with other people and typing all this shit out, it's not mature, then neither are authors and writers. Because just like any writing, art, music,
Well, actually,
or profession, the longer you do it, the better, the more you learn about it. You get better at it.
Like my mom does not believe that writing a book is an adult thing to do because you're living in fantasy and she had the same opinion about this podcast. She goes, so you and a bunch of other immature people sit around and talk about your playing pretend as an adult?
I'm going to be slightly snippy here, but your mom might want to remember that if writing is immature and stupid for adults to do, that she should probably stop opening the Bible. I don't know if she knows that didn't come out in 0 BC in audio form.
It's really not worth arguing with her,
But you
it is amazing
know
how
you
many
love that point.
people. Oh yeah, I do. And I've had that conversation with people. It's like you came home, you flipped on the television, you cooked TV while you watched television, you sat and ate your dinner while you watched television. How is that any different than sitting in front of a computer and playing an MMO? It's not. So stop being an ass.
It's the same level of nerd as going to a football game and painting yourself up, or going out to. It's what you enjoy. Some people like going to a bar, on the weekend and spending a lot of money to get blackout drunk. Frankly, I can do that for far cheaper here at home in front of a computer.
Oh yes.
It's getting too expensive.
And we did that one episode.
That's right. And we will again. Tune in for St. Patty's Day episode. It'll be fun. But yeah, it's really, if you get down to it, damn near everything has a level of immaturity. My dad, he loved to make model airplanes, and like the flying kind. He loved to do like gliders and things like that. Some people, that's what he liked. I liked to play video games and do stuff like that. He liked collecting, planes, and he played Flight Simulator and things like that. That was his setup. That was what he dug. And that's cool. It's just a different kind of, hobby, Yeah. But, mature, it's just the staple of how people look at it. Maturity isn't, anything can be looked at as immature. Somebody that spends 8 hours a day watching football on the weekend, you could be like, well, that's a big waste of time. Well, yeah, probably, but at least they're having fun. Same thing with us. Yep. 8 hours, a day on the weekend, role playing or, killing kobolds, whatever, cut your cookie. So,
or owlbears.
Or owlbears. Owlbears. Remember those?
Owlbears, yeah.
But, it's, and just like with, with the role playing, or with anything really, art and music, any profession or anything, the more you do it, the better you will get at it. The easy to do, hard to master kind of a thing. And as you role play more and more, you learn what creates a compelling story arc. You learn like what makes a good believable character and their background and their storylines and things like that. You don't necessarily know that coming right out of high school, just like anything else. You don't come out of high school and be like, I'm a brain surgeon now. No, it takes time, patience, and a lot of, doing brain surgery to get to that point where you get to, crack open someone's cranium and poke around inside there, which is assumed is all there really is to it. Mm-hmm. See that? Because I'm not a brain surgeon, I have no idea. But, it's one of those things. With maturity, comes experience, and with that, it changes your outlook on things. Like I see a lot of, people that come in and they'll try things and it will go, it'll be a good premise, but the execution is very poor. And it's not that they did anything wrong. It's just that they didn't have the experience to know how to get it out there and do it so in a cohesive and understandable way. Anybody?
Makes sense.
Okay. Well, but yeah, so, and with that, with maturity, like I said, comes experience, and so, running events for me now, and I think most of us in here, I know Sib still gets nervous about it, but she does fine every time she does one, Yeah. She's got the experience and the know-how, and she's also got people that help her, which is another big thing, ask for help, which comes with maturity, realizing that you can't do it all. But, like I said, running events for me now, I might get a little nervous about it and hope that it goes well, but it's not really that big of a deal because I know how to come up with the ways to use the roleplay mechanics or the roles for a given story, or create new ones if I need to, when it might be best to DM the results based on them, or, like where I tell people how it goes if they're fighting NPCs, or if it's like duels, let them do it themselves, or if they can be trusted, do it freeform, they're freeform things in combat and stuff like that. How to give like a written visual of the area and help immerse them in the scene, but we don't always do that. We see a lot of the new role players. They come in, they make the mistakes. And I made them ages ago. I made the same mistakes I see them doing. Where
I think we all do. I think that's part of it. Is that we are like, oh, and you can't say anything. because most of the time they won't listen and they'll get upset. So
Right.
you just have to let them figure it out for yourself. Like I recently had a person that I used to role play with a long time ago find me on Discord. And we talked back and forth and they were like, "You remember when I did this character?" "Yes." "That was so terrible. Why didn't you tell me? I know you knew it was terrible."
Mm.
And
Well-
I was like, "Because you had to figure that out. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
That would have hurt your feelings. So I had to just let you figure it out."
Well, and it's one of those things too where you also it's the time to do that is either before when they ask for help or after the fact. The
Right.
last time you ever try to help somebody is right in the middle of it. I mean, at least
Right.
with that. I mean, like you can like I've helped people like, somebody that was running their first thing a couple weeks ago, their first event. They needed to do it. I was helping them by helping keeping the people, on the same page and in line. I wasn't telling anybody what to do. I was like, if someone was confused, I was like, "No, this is what they're meaning." Or when someone's like, "Hey, I want to bring someone to OOC to watch this," and I was like, "Nope, you can't do that. No, they're this is their first thing. They're good. They don't need any more pressure." That kind of help, that's fine. But like in the middle of it, I'm not going to be like, "Hey, by the way, you should try doing this, and this differently because it's just not working at this very moment. So you need to switch up your whole thing right in the middle of it." No,
Yeah,
you're just
how
gonna
to freak them out. Yeah.
right, yeah, because then their whole brain's gonna shut down. But after the fact, you can be like, "Hey, it didn't go too bad. If you want some advice, try maybe next time try doing this system instead of this roll system. Just little things." But a lot of times it's experience. You have to fail before you can succeed. It's comes with maturity and experience. And when we see the new people coming in, I hate to say it, but a lot of times I just flat out avoid it now. Like if I don't have fun with it, I'll try it a couple times, and if the same person keeps making it not fun, or it starts 40 minutes after it's supposed to have started, which there's nobody in either guild that I do, but I've seen a couple events out in ESO that's like, "Hey, it starts at it starts at 8, and like 8:45." You're still twiddling your thumbs, waiting for it to start. That's 45 minutes I just wasted. I'm not having any fun here, And I don't have that kind of time, The older I get, the less time I've got. And trust me, it's ticking away day by day. Day by day.
Like
Wait
Grandma
till you're
says,
50.
it goes quicker as you get older.
Yeah, it really does.
Time gets a lot more valuable as you get older. And I
Definitely.
think that also probably affects me for that same reason. Like you said, I'm not as patient with the learning curve as I used to be because I don't have 13 hours a day.
Mhm.
I have 3.
Therein
And-
lies part of the problem as well, maybe, because they have so much time, they just want instant results.
Right.
They
The
don't
college
think about
college kids. They're other than class, some of them they've anyone in college, they've got a lot more time if they don't have, a job and all that other stuff. Which
And even if they do, it's probably part-time. So,
Yeah.
they have more time to spend. And it's really hard for somebody on a very limited schedule like mine. When somebody wastes 25 minutes of my time standing around doing nothing because they're trying to figure something out because they didn't do any prep ahead of time,
right.
or they're just one of those sadly slow typers who didn't type out a goddamn thing ahead of time. And we have to sit and wait for these people. And I know I'm terrible, but I really feel very strongly if you are a slow typer, either type things out ahead of time or don't do it.
Or type,
Yes,
or
rules
type
of
faster.
roleplay.
Jesus, I swear the next person that takes, let's have a bar event. Okay, who wants to be the bartender? The person who raises their hand types 3 words a minute. The person running that show needs to say, "I know you'd probably make a great bartender, but we need somebody that can actually read and type at the same time and probably can produce a paragraph in more than 16 minutes."
Yeah.
Jazz rules of
Thanks.
roleplay. Kill children. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Sorry, I've got throat gunk. So, yeah, it's experience makes it. It comes with the. Like I said, the older we're getting older. I ain't getting any younger, and with that has come a lot of experience, and it kind of like what we were saying. We've seen a lot of the same stuff, and Like I can't kidnapping roleplay. I still kind of enjoy it every now and then, but it's got to actually be. There was one that happened with Kishmis where he wasn't actually kidnapped so much as taken hostage by prisoners, and that was more interesting because that's not something that happens a lot. You know, like a prison breakout and somebody gets taken hostage, and it's a hostage negotiation, not a they're disappeared and I don't know where they're at because they went on real world vacation for a week and there's nothing we can do.
Please, please, please.
Please.
Don't
gosh.
do that. Don't ever do that. If you're listening and you're thinking about it, please don't do it. For the love of God, please don't do it. It sends my blood pressure sky high.
Yeah. Yeah, and Insomniac, there's nothing wrong with being a slow typer. I get that. But the thing is, if you're trying to improve, like you said you are improving.
Yes.
Really, it's like Sib. Sib, when she first got on here, babe, you were a really slow typer. You knew that, and it made you super anxious too.
But she also told all of us. She said,
Right.
I type really slow. I was very patient because she said,
and that's
I type really slow, and I'm going to be patient with that. But
Right.
these people who have no compunction, and when you're like, dude, maybe you should write this out ahead of time. Why would I do that? Well, you type really slow. So I have a story to tell.
right. Well, and here's the thing too. That's what you're saying. Like my ability to like the Nif, I have so bad with their name, Nif, the other day that had their first thing. I knew it was their first event. It took 3 hours. I was committed when I went there to help them out and stay till the end, but I knew going in I knew everything. I knew that was I was fine with that because I knew. And like if someone says, "Hey, sorry, I'm a slow typer, but give me just a minute," I'll have all the patience in the world if I know that going in. Now, if you're typing, if you're typing 4 words a minute, but you're like, "No, I'm a quick typer. It'll only be a minute." Well, yeah, times 15, but still, then my patience is a lot less. But I guess it's just a difference of knowing. Being allowed to know what I'm getting into beforehand so that I'm not committed to something that I wasn't ready to commit to. Again, because of a time issue.
Like one of the gentlemen that eventually became one of our officers typed really slow when he first came. He was a hunt and pecker, and he typed very, very slow.
The way you said that was so bad.
So bad.
Hunting pecker.
He's a hunting pecker.
You said it so fast. It was a hunting pecker.
Shafay, I think she's
tell you
talking
what.
about you.
Do we need?
You're a
do we
hunting
need
pecker.
dubious clap on that?
I was wondering about it. Oh no, dubious clap.
See, Jazz's claps sound like actual claps. That doesn't count.
Yes, they do. Anyway, when he originally joined us, he would get embarrassed, and I feel bad now looking back because I did this to people. I didn't realize that it made them feel uncomfortable because I would type waits for his response, because if it went a certain period of time,
You weren't sure if they were typing or they went AFK.
they went AFK, or maybe they missed what I said, because I've always done open RP. So when I would type waits for your response, you would then scroll up and see what I said because you obviously missed it. So I thought I was being nice, but what I was really doing
Being a
was
pompous
increasing
douche.
the stress. It didn't help that he had never role played like we did before. So he was very new, and he didn't want to admit he was very new. He thought that when we were talking in Drow, that we were talking in French. He actually told people that he had joined a French guild by accident, but they were so much fun that he was going to go ahead with it. And later,
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, and when he finally admitted to me that he thought it was he repeated something who did speak French. And he rattled off the phrase, and she went, she was a nerd like us. She was like, that's not
That's
French.
not French. That's drow.
Drow.
Yeah.
But the point being that I didn't mean to do that.
Right.
But in a way, because I did that, he was so determined to not get the weights thing that he would learn. He typed faster and faster and faster and faster. And he finally got to where he could type really fast. And now he types really fast. And he actually took a couple classes, not because he needed to for coding, really.
Yeah.
But because they offered it to him in school, and he was like, yes, I need that. Show me how to do that.
Yeah. And Insomniac, I'm going to say something too, because there is, pre-writing isn't an option for all events, but I'm also going to say the type of slow typer we're talking about is not you. I've been watching you type. you're not a slow typer. No, when we say a slow typer, I mean a slow.
No, we're
typer.
talking 2 to 3 words per minute.
Yeah,
You're
like
waiting 10 minutes
literally.
for a reply.
Yeah.
That kind of slow.
They typed 6 words, and I was waiting for 10 minutes.
Yeah, like
That's
we're not what you do. That's what your is.
Yeah,
at the very
no.
least, I'd say you're definitely at the average speed of what most role players are at, and you're
If
fine.
you hadn't
so
told
don't
me,
take
I
this
never
as-
would have known that you had an issue at all.
No,
so
I wouldn't have-
I've
I wouldn't have thought that
never
either.
felt that you type slow. So
Mm.
And I will say, being a slow typer, if you are honest and just say, hey, I'm a slow typer, most role players are very gentle and very understanding. And
you just
they
got to
will-
warn them.
Yeah, they will not, they'll be more able to RP with you instead of being like, what is this person's deal? Why are they not typing? And, all of that. You just be honest.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, because and I'm still telling you, Insomniac, the fact that you just said that when I get paragraphy that came almost immediately after the other one, you're fine. Don't worry about it. but the reason when we talk about slow typers, the reason without, like what Sid was saying, without warning, the reason people get annoyed is because it's hard to differentiate between the even worse than a slow typer is ninja AFKs, which some people do constantly. So when you're typing really slow, but they don't know that you're a slow typer, I'll be honest,
They
a lot of
assume
times
you're
I
going
assume
AFK,
you just fucked off and you're just leaving
Yeah.
me hanging.
Or you're
Yeah.
talking in another chat to somebody, you're talking in tells, you're
Right,
not
talking in tells is
focusing
another big one.
on. And I have to say, if you're DMing an event, you should not be talking in tells unless you are talking to people in the
in
event.
the event, yeah.
Yeah.
And you sure
You should
shouldn't
have
be
your
joking around in
focus.
guild chat.
You should have your focus on your event. So it runs
So like
smoothly.
because I type fast, I can joke around and type but you can ask these guys when I'm typing, I'm silent. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
and when
You can
and when
always
you're running an
tell.
event, you don't go into voice.
yeah,
You're
no, I
you
don't come into
focus.
voice. I'm too
yeah.
easily distracted. I need to focus, and I type stupidly fast. So I think that's probably why I may be harder on people than some, because to me it's like I don't go into these things when I'm in there. You can at least be thoughtful and do the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Ian Black's, for me, the speed isn't the problem. It's figuring out what I plan to say on the fly. That scares me sometimes. And yeah, I can get that. And I do the same thing, like especially if I'm in combat role play. You've got to make sure that you say it correctly so that you get the picture out there and you get it all flowing correctly. So I get that. And that is fine. Like if it comes out and it's clearly a very complex situation, most people are actually pretty cool with that. I mean, when it comes to combat, I've never, but if 20 minutes later and the only response I get is dodges, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah. And like my husband types 120 words a minute and is stupidly fast, but you would never know because he is the slowest damn typer. He drives me crazy. Not because he can't type fast, but because he has to make sure it's perfect. So when he's typing very slow to make it sound exactly the way that he wants.
Right.
And I know that now, but when we were first getting used to each other, that drove me insane.
Right.
So, because I am the world's worst impatient person. If you don't tell me ahead of time, I'm twitching. And that's just my own personal failing. So just tell people, hey, I type slow, or you may want to, bring a book.
Right.
Give them a hands up, because your story may be awesome, but for people who are impatient, it's torture.
Yeah.
So
And again, if you tell
warn them
people
ahead of time.
if you tell people ahead of time, then cool.
But
It's-
I
it's
can
the-
count so many times when people were just talking in another channel and not really paying
Or-
attention
yeah.
to the play.
Or
God,
they come back. Sorry, I was having a conversation and tell us like, okay, well, this isn't the time for that.
It's infuriating. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
need
sorry,
to
I had to go check on my
walk
dog.
away. You need to be like, okay. I've
Maybe
got
you
things
should have
going
said
on.
AFK.
Yeah. Or say, pardon me, I gotta go walk away. I've got something going on I gotta deal with. I'll be. Jazz, you've told us that.
BRB,
Okay.
LOL.
I'll be right back. I got something I gotta go deal with. And
Yeah.
she
BRB,
steps
LOL.
away. She's,
Yeah.
she tells us she's stepping away.
Yeah,
I
usually for
always
jazz,
try to. If I don't, it's because something bad happened and I didn't have time
right,
to type.
it's BRB
But
SMK
normally, yeah.
is what
Yep.
the SMK stands for Smack My Kids.
Yes, it does.
No, and I would never say that. I do say,
Mhm.
"Be right back, Kid Aggro," or something like that.
okay, Shake My Kids.
But I do
Shake
try
them.
to let people know because it does drive me crazy if people just wander away. And we've had people in our guild over the years who just literally go AFK. Oh, I
Yeah.
had to go take care of my grandma. Well, that's nice, and I totally put real life first. But you could at least freaking tell us so that we can go do something
Yeah.
else for a while.
Right. So, all right. So we got experience, or we got maturity. The other thing that comes on and this can be a negative, and it is often for me because I've seen it big time this week. Ego. Now, and of course, this one, obviously, we all hear there has to be some ego involved to put yourself and talk about role play on a podcast and be willing to have people
Well, we
listen to you and
certainly
stuff like
have
that.
that, yeah.
Right. But at the same time, this it changes from person to person, and for this, show or not, I don't think any of us do. I don't think of myself any better than anybody else because of the show or anything like that. It always cracks me up, and it's honestly very humbling when someone's like, I get a tell or something like, "Hey, are you from that podcast?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I am."
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's super
but
weird.
It's very strange, and I still am not used to it. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now, but it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Always say hi if you want to. That's fine. But I don't.
It
think
always
of
takes
myself,
me back a little bit because
Right.
I don't
You forget
think
that
about
there's
it
other
that
people
way.
listening to our conversation right now.
Yeah, and then but they're like, "Oh, you're this person." Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
is
am.
me. But I don't think any of us here think I don't go around like, hey, I run a podcast and this is why it should be done my way. No, I don't do that. But the thing is, some do. I'm not the podcast because as far as I know, there aren't any other roleplay MMO podcasts out there. But people with more experience and have been doing this for a long time, a lot of them will say, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I have said that, but often it's in my defense of somebody telling me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, yeah, actually, I kind of been doing this for a long time, and you're just being a douche right now. I've been doing this for a long time, too. So, if you tell me I don't know what I'm doing, then I might break that out. Otherwise, if somebody's like having a disagreement, I'm not like, hey, I've been doing this for 15 years, because, like, what the fuck do they care? Really. Because as somebody that's been doing it a long time, honestly, it's my responsibility, at least I feel so, to help bring it. You want more people. It'd be like if Civil War reenactors shunned other people that were interested in the Civil War because they weren't there first. It
doesn't make any
it
sense.
wouldn't work real well. So the more I can help with people, I do have a short temper for stupidity, but that's in all things, not just in role play. As long as someone is showing and
Truth.
willing to learn, I'm willing to help them. Which
And
I mean,
open-minded.
that's
and open.
why we're here. This whole show is based around trying to get more people to roleplay. I mean, it is geared towards current role players, but it's part of the underlying purpose of this entire thing too, is to bring in more role players.
Ashton,
And good ones, hopefully.
You bring up a good point.
Of course I do.
From my senior year in high school, we actually had some Civil War reenactors come by. This popped the memory back in my head when you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were explaining what they did. They were on the Confederate side. It was this, it was that. And we had a few African American gentlemen with them. And he said, yeah, we used to play on the Union side until my grandma said, no, we were on this side, and I'll wring your hair if you don't do that. But I thought it was so cool, and everybody else was like, these guys are nerds. I'm like, I knew I was a role player at that moment. I was like, these guys seem kind of cool. You can go dress up and pretend to be
And
somebody
shoot-
else with a gun.
Shoot fucking cannons.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, there's a slow-mo video, I think Smarter Every Day. He actually went out to a cannon shoot-off and shot it at
nice.
like 30,000 frames a second of these old like Civil War era cannons.
Yeah. But
wow, that would hurt.
they were doing the thing, just trying to get
Right.
kids in history class interested in doing stuff outside of school or whatever. And, it was neat. It was like a guild trying to combine recruiting almost, but real life.
Okay, great Whoopdini. I don't think Y-List is even where we're at yet. One day we hope to be Y-List.
What's wireless?
Well, it's kind of like B list, only further down the alphabet. I think we're at actually right now we're at negative A, and then we have to work our way back through the negative alphabet to get to the positive alphabet.
Oh.
Yeah, so one of these days we hope to get there. Jackass. But you know, it is the egos thing. There are a lot of role players, and a lot of them ones that we've talked about, like Jazz and Straface Psychos, as an example, have massive Saturn-sized egos. I mean, just the sunshine flies out of their ass. Another one too it's kind of happened this week. Guild leaders and community leaders especially can also get this giant ego thing going.
Oh God, community leaders are the worst.
Right,
usually.
people that run the hub sites are now the Discord hub sites. There was a recent explosion in one of them in ESO this week. And I'm not taking sides on this. Frankly, I just sat back and watched it. I know there was a lot of history and a lot of things on there, but watching that entire thing from the sidelines, not really having a dog in this pony show, it was a lot of egos just dick slapping each other back and forth. And there was no white hats in this. I mean, in my opinion, and some of them were people I like and I'm friends with. Nobody came out of this looking better for it. Because all it was egos. It was just egos slapping up against egos. And it was kind of disappointing to see because it was a lot of people I liked, you know. It's you know, and I still like them. I don't have, you know, everybody has their triggers, everybody has their bad days and things like that. But it was really nothing but an ego fest for a lot of the people involved, and everybody
it always happens,
right?
Always.
And everybody had to get the last word in, which Jazz, you know, I'm really good at that.
Oh yeah,
I didn't pipe up once in this whole. I was like,
really?
No,
you didn't pipe up at all.
Well, it wasn't a Discord I actually visit very often. I'd actually forgot I was in there, but when I heard it was going on, I went and read because honestly, partly for the podcast, just to see. Like as an objective outsider kind of a thing, because I don't really, like I said, I role play with who I role play with, and that's all well and good. But the stuff that was going on had nothing to do with me personally, so it didn't really bother me. But it was an interesting. No, it was not the ESORP. I think it was. If you want to be on, it was the Ebonheart roleplay Discord.
Oh, that I heard
Right,
about that.
right.
Okay, yeah.
They had a big shift and people left and people switched sides, and I don't, like I said, I followed reading it, and it was very interesting from an analytical and sociological roleplay standpoint, but it was not a pretty sight, and it was. Like I said, there was no white hats. Everybody came out as far as dirty on the other side of it, as far as I was concerned. There was no winner. There was just a lot of losers. And I'm not calling them losers. I'm just saying that you guys...
Nobody won.
Nobody won. There was no winning.
Like
on
a typical war, nobody wins.
Nobody
It's
really
just...
won. Especially when it was over something that's supposed to be, you know, good for everybody. But, you know, everyone was sniping at one another over petty things. They were seeing the thing is because their egos were so big, everyone was seeing the worst in other people and how virtuous their cause was without, and it gets to that point, and I think we've all been there at one point or another in role play. You stop seeing, it's like what people, like when you get into a political argument on Facebook, you don't see them as people anymore. You just see them as the villain in this they're wrong,
yeah.
And your only goal is to win. You gotta win. Oh, it feels so good to win. You get that last potting shot before you block them, and you won. You didn't win. You just you're not winning on that one. Nobody comes out a winner in those arguments.
Nope.
But you got, you know, everybody they just forget, and it seems like a lot of people forget. There's, you know, and yeah, there are some bad people out there. Straface Psycho, I'm looking at you. Yeah, they were a bad person.
On the ego side of this, I know we've talked about it before, but a lot of people who play video games are real life. A lot of them have issues, or they can't be who they want to be in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, when they are in the game, they can be these all powerful beings. And if they get the right following, these people will basically worship him and
Yes.
treat him like the all-powerful being.
You
Therefore,
too can be
it's-
Skeletor.
Yeah, so it's, it's those
I think you
ethos
start to believe
come
your
by-
own story
yeah.
writing.
they come by it naturally. I mean,
Human beings will believe what's written about them, for example,
Mhm.
if they see it enough.
You tell
So-
a lie enough and it comes the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's not even just a lie. I mean, if you have enough people around you worshiping you in some sense, you eventually start to believe that this might be true.
Mhm.
And I don't know why
Even in,
I
you know,
didn't
it
fall
goes
for
from
that as Baka, but it,
And I will-
it freaked me out. I ran away from
well,
people like
I
that.
would
and
point it
stop
out to you
them.
too that like, hey, Jazz, have you
Yeah.
ever noticed when you're not around, there's literally no role play going on?
Yeah.
You know,
And I did
point
notice
that out
that.
because
And
I had
try.
I tried to get people together. I tried to get them, but it's like, nope, Jazz is gone for the weekend, so basically it's a free weekend. I'm like, all right, well, that wasn't what they said,
Yeah.
but that's exactly
and
how
that's
it,
and
what
that was
happened.
that's a problem, and that happens in the cult of personality.
Cult of person, yeah. There you go.
Never goes away. That is a human trait, and it happens in every guild. There is always going to, and people were like, "You need to fix it," and it's like, well, I'll be glad if you tell me how, because
Right.
I have never figured out. Because I didn't start it, I
No.
don't encourage it, but it's there because people want a hero. They want somebody to look up to.
Right, and at the
Some
time
folks-
too, you were there for 16 hours a day.
Yeah,
too,
I was there
because of your health
16 hours a
issues.
day. I was like these. I was the
You were-
backbone of the guild.
You were always there, yeah.
Yeah, I was always there, and they got to where they knew I was always there. And if they needed to talk, it was Sealy, I was there, and I did it to myself in many ways.
Right.
But
Even when
you
you had
know-
officers who would break it up, you would still have a dedicated following that would only role play when Jazz is around.
Hmm.
Or worse, they would only interact with Tilda. They'd only interact with Ren, and I'd be like, "Dude, there's a whole guild. You need to mix
Right.
it up." But they would just constantly do that.
and we were constantly fighting that. And so imagine what happens in a guild. And a lot of guilds don't. They
Right.
don't fight that cult of personality because they
Right.
like it. And it is, I got to admit, I think
Well,
that
yeah,
if I
of
let
course
it
it's
happen, it would
flattering.
it's flattering, especially if like I was in a situation where I used to work 50 hours a week and now I was handicapped and I couldn't, and I felt like a fish out of water all the time. And I suppose if I had let it come, but I had my husband, I had my officers who were good friends
Right.
who were like, "Hey, Jazz, stop it." So I had
Yeah.
that there.
Your head's getting so big, you're not going to keep fitting it up your ass.
Yeah. But I think that in a lot of these guilds, I think part of the reason that we lasted as long as we did, and many guilds don't, is because that cult of personality turns into a poison.
Right. Well, and one of the things from Servants of the Temple Tribunal, I think they used to be Temple, but I always get it wrong. The Tribunal is, Sabea, she's the guild leader, and she's been there for, 4 years now. But the role play, while it can pick up when she's around, it doesn't stop when she's not. Because there's she's
I
like
didn't even know much about her because
Right.
I have never.
right. You've never really one-on-one or role played
Right.
with her, but the guild, they are real good about doing things
Yes.
when she, and
They
she's
did a good job with that.
she's
very
like
much
you
so.
right now. She's got a normal job. She gets home around 5. It's she got normal working hours kind of a thing, and so they've got that. And I don't know, in a lot of guilds, it depends, but I think that they've worked very hard from the very beginning to make sure that was always the dynamic. Now, and
Yes.
again, with you, it wasn't something that you had done. It was just, I think, really when it started with was you being there, 3/4 of the day, you
Yeah.
know, and you were just a fixture. You were just always there. So that kind of happened,
Yep.
Yeah,
It
and
was
I agree with-
unavoidable in that sense
Yeah.
because I was always there and they knew they could always count on me to create RP, and I was always creating RP. So I created it without meaning to, simply by being around. And then when I stopped and I got a job and a life and I couldn't be there anymore, a lot of it just kind of disintegrated, and that was
Right.
really hard.
Well,
And
it
I got-
also didn't help that you were playing EQ too, and it was disintegrating under our feet at the very moment.
well, that's
anyway.
true. The game was slowly dying, and we hung on. But
You hang on to that thing well past the 1 mile mark of the Titanic sinking. Yeah, you guys were like, well, we can still turn this thing around. Hold on to the deck chairs, you know. But yeah, and
That's
it's
true.
Insomniac 101
Yeah,
said some
it's-
people ignoring you when you call some people ignore you when you call them out on it too, and yeah, that is very true. You know, Jazz, I was able to tell her because, you know, she was already aware of it. We were just talking about it really at the time. But there are those people that we've known several, Mr. Face Psycho again, that if you called them out on this stuff, they got even though they knew it was true, and like in other times they would even talk about how all their friends, and it's almost like a following and things like that. But if you called them out on it, like, hey, you know, this is not healthy, and you're splitting everything up because you're making everyone pick sides. I'm not. I'm not.
If you get self-righteous about it, they would.
Yeah, and then they get upset, and then they would rage quit the guild, and then a month or two later, somebody with no common sense would let them back in.
Uh-huh.
Seen it a million times.
You're an ass, you know that, right?
I'm aware.
Hey,
Yeah.
tell it like it is, man, because that's how it was.
Right. But yeah, it's because your
I mean,
heart's bigger
I
than
have
your
a
head
forgiving
sometimes.
nature,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
give
Well,
people the benefit of the doubt.
stop it.
But when the snake bites you 3 times, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know,
You're not a very good Cobra handler, Jazz. I'm just saying you probably
No.
should find
No,
another
I'm not.
gig. But back
But
on the
that's where
Go ahead.
egos come from.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah.
they are built in the games, and therefore, you know,
MMOs court ego because the entire structure of the game is about how you are the only
oh, you cut
that's
out.
I
going
think we
to.
lost you, Jazz.
Say
the
that
last
again.
part of that,
Yeah.
Jess.
Let me check my connection. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, we
Um,
can.
The entire structure of the game is of MMOs. 90%, 99% of all MMOs are you are the hero. You are the only hero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Yeah.
so people that play MMOs and are willing to play that type of game are all going to be along that line. I am the hero.
Yeah.
And
It's one of the good things about WoW is you're not the chosen one in that
Yes.
game. You're
Yes.
playing a bit part in an overall greater conflict.
right. And I really prefer if they're going to be theme park that it be more like WoW and less like EQ or this game
ESO
where
or
you are
Final Fantasy or
yeah, where you are the hero, and that courts a certain kind of person because they always want to RP out the game. I just had a big conversation about this yesterday because this is something that people do. We're going to get together and we're going to kill this major mob. I am going to be a powerful person on the land. Well, no, because you can't really kill that thing.
right.
Yes, I can. We can go in there. No,
I killed
because-
Mayong Mistmore. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
remember that?
Mhm.
I had to have that conversation
Oh,
like
yeah.
dozens of times because they were like, I killed Mayong Mistmore. But you know what's really funny is if we go right over here, he's there again.
To answer your question, Great Whoopty, a theme park MMO would be like ESO, where you basically you go around, but there's certain hubs. Some of them then there's the linear ones, like Star Wars: The Old Republic would be a linear MMO, very linear because you progress through the story, planet to planet. Each planet has a certain level range. You can't jump to the end and go to whatever the last planet is in that storyline, which I can't remember now. At the very beginning, whereas in ESO you can always jump around. It's a theme park, you know, just like when you go to Disneyland or you just go wherever the hell you want. Whatever ride you want to ride, you go ride that. That's the difference between those two.
Well, all of them are
That's-
theme parks, but some are linear and some
Right.
are not.
Right. Well,
A
like
theme
like I
park
said.
MMO puts you as the hero, and you go from quest to quest to quest hub, solving, you know, the major thing that
Mysteries with
only
Scooby-Doo
you
in the
can
game.
do.
You got
Where-
a badge in this NSWG for doing the Imperial theme park or the Rebel theme park.
Mhm.
It was a chain of quests that you had to go to a location to do
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, typically the theme park basically means free roaming. It's not really actually about the storyline of like what your character is. Like
I thought you said free romance.
free romance.
But
But like
roaminess.
Well, it
Such a
certainly is
dork.
that.
But like Final
Free
Fantasy
romance, however.
Final Fantasy 14 it's not really a theme park world because you go from zone to zone and each zone has its own level and it's very linear at how you travel from one zone to the next. Like
Well, I guess some people then would.
yeah.
We were always told in school that a theme park was like EQ and all those others where, that's interesting. I'll have to go look that
maybe.
up now.
And then there's Sandbox too. I think I'm confusing it with Sandbox.
Yeah, Sandbox
you got it.
ones are preferred because then you can just literally go anywhere.
ESO has the theme park with the things, but yeah, it's actually a sandbox. My bad. I got those backwards.
This one is a little more of a sandbox, but it can't be because there's a hero.
Right.
If you don't have a hero, that's truly a sandbox.
Yeah.
But this certainly has sandbox bits.
Quality. Yeah, because you can go to any zone
anywhere.
right off the bat and do fairly well.
You can go anywhere, anyhow, which I really love. I absolutely love about this game.
Mm-hmm.
I always hated being tied to going from zone to zone to zone and not being allowed to go in my own path. Because,
you couldn't go to lower Fade Arc because it was level 40 and you were level 2 and you would get, butt stomped.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really like that. EQ was very linear. You had to go to point A to point B to point C. You had to follow it every time. Although they gave you several points to start from, you still had to travel that path.
Imagine being that newbie in a Nectarless Forest, and you wander into Lava Storm.
Right.
Oh God.
Yeah, everything's level 50. But yeah, that's the difference. So, but back to the ego thing. I really think, to be honest, like I said, with that thing, there's no winners, and a lot of times when the ego, you got to it's okay to have somewhat of an ego on these things because you got to have confidence in yourself. There's a difference between confidence and ego, and it's okay to be confident. But you don't want your ego to get out of the way because,
everybody has ego.
Right.
It's if you let it control you, then it becomes a problem.
It's like I said, there's kind of a difference between ego and confidence. Like you can have, I have enough of an ego to be confident in what I know, but I don't go around like, hey, blah 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 blah. You have to do it my way because otherwise, or I have all these followers, or I have a podcast. Yeah, because nothing brings the bitches on like saying that out loud. But to be honest with me, of all the problems with any one role player, ego is easily the biggest enemy of RP that I've seen, and more so than a lack of maturity and experience combined. Because I'll take somebody that's kind of a bit of a dolt, or they're still learning, over somebody that knows it all the time. Because you can't talk to anybody, like you can't talk with them, Yeah, healthy ego versus obnoxious ego. There you go. That's a good way of putting it.
That's a very good way of putting it.
Everybody has an ego, but if you let it rule you to the point that nobody can stand you, then
right. So, on with the next part here is, I like joking. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. I like saying jokes. But now as I've gotten older, I know. There's times I find myself kind of like my grandfather, watching the Beatles, I guess, and, watching people talking OOC for me. Like, I like silly and I like funny and I like making jokes, but then there's new trends and fads that come along, and language and that are just fucking idiotic. Like, I'm sorry, Kishmas, yeet is one of them. It's the most
my
recent
boys
one,
do that. It drives
and it
me
is
insane.
The entire guild does it over its servants, and it's the stupid fuckingest thing I've ever seen. And it's just I just roll my eyes
one more
every
letter.
time.
Just type it.
Well, it doesn't
I
even
get the
mean.
whole talking
What does it
thing.
mean?
It doesn't mean yes anymore. No, it used to. Now it's like it's just like a haha yeet, like ha, that was awesome, or that's cool, or it means something totally different now. And it's just dumb as balls.
Very dumb.
I'm sorry. I love everybody, but I don't have to love everything you say, because it's just butt ass stupid. But it's things like that. It's the fads that come along.
Yeah,
I
think that's
patience for
another old person thing. Lack of patience
Yeah.
is why I don't talk in OOC. I don't join voice channels. I don't go into their OOC, like in the servants. I might have had a better time there and integrated better there if I had talked to, but I'm just not comfortable. I don't. When we did this back in the beginning, there was no voice chat. There was no. We didn't even have an OOC channel. You remember we had to put it in parentheses, and it's just really difficult for me to talk constantly about everything in an OOC channel.
Right. Yeah,
They
and I
just
get
can't
that.
do it.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm not much. I mean, I'll share mundane things, but I don't typically share a lot about myself personally. So it is
I had
just
spaghetti today, and I did my laundry. Man,
yeah.
that was a wet fart. I'll
See-
be right back. No, stop sharing those
I
things.
thought
don't need
for
to
a
know
sec,
that.
anybody else
Oh
for
my
a second
God,
thought that she
Jess,
was
you
gonna
made
go.
me panic. I was like, did she just say that on the?
And now we have Jazz messing herself live on air.
Yeah. Well,
No.
sometimes it just depends.
With my friends, sure, but not with strangers.
Well done, Ashton. Well done.
But yeah, it's just it's I'm just getting a turn every day. I feel like I and again with this, I wonder too, Jazz, if it goes back to what we were saying with the Facebook kind of culture that we have, where everybody shares every part of their daily life constantly,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's,
God,
so much of it's
yes.
mundane that now a lot of the younger people coming in, they continue just to do that, and it's fine. I mean, I get it, like when somebody has something bad happen in their life or they're going through a rough patch, that's fine. There's somebody in servants, they're having a hard time with a family member, and it's hard on them, and I get that. So we're there for them. That's what you do, and but when it comes to, like you said, I had spaghetti and it had meatballs and this is the recipe, and then also time that my fish choked on my cat. Don't ask how it happens. It's a big fish and it was a very small cat, but we were all very sad. Yes. Wait, what?
Yeah, the constant drum of mundane that is in most. Our guild chat in Alanu is blissfully quiet. Every now and then we get on a spate about something that's funny or fun, or talking
Right.
about a current event or whatever, and that's fine.
But
But-
it's usually about the game.
Yeah, it's about the game. It's about something that just happened, or it's talking about an upcoming game, or about quirks or whatever. It's not this constant
Drivel.
drivel, and I hate saying that. I feel like such an old.
It's
grumpy person.
Every bit of it.
It's just grotesque drivel, and I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't do it anymore.
See, I
And
wish
so I don't say anything.
and Ian Black, I wish it was just small talk, but it's not even small talk. It's just mundane. I like small
It's
talk.
mundane drivel.
Like
That's
I
what
don't
it
mind
is. It's
talking about
mundane
like,
drivel.
hey, when someone's like, man, like there's people that they got snow this week, and like last week we were in the 80s. They're talking small talk, talking about the weather. I'm like, wow, that sucks for you. I'm glad
Yeah.
I don't live where you're at, but. That I don't
Well,
mind, but it's the mundane,
personal
the
items.
monotonous. Yeah. Ooh.
And not
It is-
only that, but like in Silver, we had an OSC channel, and people would start oversharing about stuff, and
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
constantly. Remember what's her face? I can't even remember her name. That would talk to us about her character
That's yeah.
constantly and unending. Well, she feels this way and she feels that way.
The
And
ones
she's
that
only
would
doing this because
The ones that would give you the subtext without like just letting you figure it out on your own.
or
Right.
like you're role playing together. You know why she did that, right? She did that because when she was a kid, this happened and this happened and then this happened and then she got a purple bow and it's like, oh my god, stop. And I would
Just-
have to send her a tell, dude, stop,
Yeah.
stop, just stop, please. I don't do that anymore. I just let people ramble. But it also means that I tune out channels.
Right. Yeah.
Because
It is
I can't
useless
stand it.
information, and it's just pointless. It's like going to Facebook saying, "Look, I ate a peanut butter sandwich today." No one gives a crap about
Yeah.
that. Why are you even talking about? I don't get it. But when it does happen, I am guilty of sending either Ashen or Jazz a tell like, "Hey, check out that person and their cool peanut butter sandwich. Ain't it cool?" Shut up, Strape.
I don't think I would say that. I'd be like,
Well, yeah,
but
I got to troll about it.
So moving on here. What does an old timer, quote unquote, want? For me, and I'm gonna assume I probably speak for a lot of people too, because it's not just old timers. A lot of people, a lot of newer, and this isn't everybody. Remember that, because newer people like this stuff too. Interesting interactions. For me, not everything has to be a fight, though I absolutely do love combat and fighting, or saving the city, or avenging a wrong, or going off to war and whatever. Honestly, just a compelling lore-based conversation between a few people is just as much fun for me at this point as, you know, going off to save the city. Like if I sit down at a table and we're all back in the you know, we're talking about like local politics inside EverQuest or ESO or Final Fantasy and things like that, I'm good with that as long as it's fun, or just talking on a personal level with somebody else one-on-one. I'm good with that stuff as long as characters that have realistic motives for what they do and why. Not like I search for weapons in a vault because they're there and I'm the chosen one, or I lost my memory, bonk, I got my memory back, bonk, who am I, bonk, I'm a potato. You know,
Yeah.
I just, it's like
I want
it worked great in
compelling-
Flintstones, but
I want compelling conversations, compelling stories. Just recently when we were at Riften and a gentleman came up and was talking to one of my characters, and we had this very involved conversation. It was a lot of fun. And he said to me, this was actually a lot of fun because she wasn't just trying to get laid. She really has a brain in there. And I was surprised and kind of laughed because I had no interest in his character at all. But my character is just like that. She's very talkative. But that's what I want. I want interactions. It doesn't have to be about dating or anything else. It doesn't have to be about war. I don't
a
have
good
to always
conversation.
just talk. It's fun because
as your character, yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that I loved about bar hopping back in the day was being able to, get drunk, but also to, meet interesting people you never met before. Hearing about their stories and about their experiences and their lives was part of the reason why I went to bars in the.
That's part
To
of why
meet people.
people still do it too, yeah.
Yeah, you meet
Sometimes
people.
you gotta go where everybody knows
Yes!
your name.
That's one of my
And that is
favorite
exactly-
things. Is
that's
just
how
meeting
I
new
treat
people in
Riften.
RP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's,
love
that's
to
how
just
I treat it.
Hear
Yeah.
what people come up with is their backstory. You know,
I
when-
go to like that exactly. I go to Cheers. That's what Riften is to me. Riften is Cheers.
Yeah, this is full of a lot of derp. And
Well,
it's hit
yeah.
or miss for me. I gotta be in the mood to go there.
But yeah, it's and that's, that's what I look, the conversation, Jazz, that Kenix and Cial had recently after she was still recovering and before she botched her revenge plot. There, he was getting onto her without really getting onto her. She's talking about how she's going to slowly kill him, and they're a pair of killers really, and he's just got more experience, and he's just like, no, you're going to go in there, you're going to kill him, or you're going to make the same mistake he did, and he's going to get away. Are you really willing to take that for, if you want your revenge, kill him. Don't play with your food, and it was a fun, very dark conversation.
And it was important, and it changed the way that she looked at it. And that's awesome when that happened.
Yeah.
Because you get to interact in a way that you miss. And I do that. I get that all the time in Riften. I wish there was more places to go, but I take what I can get.
Right. There's only almost any game can only have so many real or out in the world hubs, RP hubs. Yeah.
Because, the community is very small. So we usually have 1 or 2 places max where people go to socialize.
Yeah.
I know Ian Black said in the chat, I'm still nervous about talking about my character. I don't really know them yet, and I don't want to lie to fill in the blank. Which is, when you just meet people out in open RP, it's a good way to find out about your character.
Yeah.
You might decide you want to go with this storyline, or you might want to tell him, say, hey, I went to school at this place. It's just a way to develop your character by RPing with different people.
You can build it slowly by doing that, even if you don't have a backstory, that you can kind of build one. Just God Almighty, don't do it during my poetry hour. I will kick you off my stage.
Well, yeah, there is a time. That's
Right,
why I
there's
said
times to do
open
it.
RP. Open
Yeah.
RP.
Yes,
Don't do
naturally.
long events. You don't want to
That was
have
fun,
a
Stray. I love you.
long conversation when you're hunting down whatever.
This
But
is why
just
the
doing,
cave's
like,
addendum
open
exists. I'm
Tavern
just saying.
RP.
Yeah, and T the Khajiit, which by the way, T, congratulations
Hi,
on
T.
getting
T.
verified on Twitch. Way to go! I'm very proud of you. Who'd have thought that little person that was so shy to call on our show would be verified on Twitch like 2 months later? Good for you. I'm very happy. But her response to him was fill in the blanks with RP, and that's exactly what you were saying, Sib. It's what we all do. Like I usually have an idea, and then I'll fill in the blanks. Sometimes based on the role play, I'll be like, you know what, this actually makes more sense to do it this way, and it will change. And that's how you do it, you know. And sometimes, Eon, if you talk to him, if you're talking about your character and trying to figure out how to do things, just make sure it's with somebody you trust and knows the lore and will actually help you out. And because otherwise, you know, and even then, if you're talking OOC with them, everybody understands. I think this happened with Yunfei when she got into ESO. You know, she had one thing. We talked about it a little bit. We role played, and then after the fact, she's like, "I want to switch one little thing." Okay, like you know, sure, why not?
You're not bound by
Right.
it. If you get halfway into it and you realize that this really doesn't work for you, you can either say she was wrong or he was wrong. He made a mistake. He lied. He was too nervous to tell you the truth about himself, so he lied. And deal with
It's a great
it that way.
way to polish out your story, even if you have a rough idea of it.
Or you can just tell the person, I know that's what I said, but this is the way that I ended up thinking it should go. And most people will be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Change that. So it's not never that big of a deal. Now for
Unless
me,
you went from vampire to werewolf in the drop of a hat, then it's a problem.
Right. Unless it's,
Well, we've
unless
had
it's
people
lore
do that.
breaking. Right.
yeah.
And
And
then
then we've had to say, okay, then you're going to have to read.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You gotta-
But I agree
But-
with what Jazz said. I mean, there's ways to get around it. It's role play. It's not set in stone.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is for fun.
Yeah.
So
And
you,
it's
Don't be
important.
the lore Nazi.
Yeah. Don't be a lore Nazi, which a lot of people claim I am. I'm not. I just know
you are
what
not
lore
Jazz.
is.
Jazz, you
Yeah,
are
I-
not. I
I'm
know
not?
I've met
Okay.
some lore Nazis in this game, and I'm like, holy crap. Okay.
You know, and also what I do is I level my character. Now I may not level him past level 20, but I go out and I do quests. Now what this does is that I put myself in the position of my character, and you're basically asking your character questions, which is what you can also do if you don't. You can go online, you can look for like get to know you surveys that you can ask new friends, because they actually do exist. Because for some people they can't ever think of what to say, so they ask all these exposition type learn about people questions. You can do that to your character,
Yeah.
and then that helps you figure out who they are. Now, what going in and doing quests is kind of the same thing. You're asking your character, what would they do in this situation? What do you think this character would do in that situation? And that really, for me, helps me get to know my characters. And if I have a new character, I level them to 20, 30 before I roleplay them, because I want to get a feel for who they are.
Roger that.
And of course, we're old enough that back in the day, you couldn't RP your character. So, in EQ, you didn't get a last name until level 20. So most people
Yeah.
didn't roleplay their characters until they were level 20.
Yeah. So
So-
you actually got your last name.
Yeah.
Which is
So,
always
yeah.
funny. So, all right. So the other thing, as I've gotten older, I find is my patience for petty and manipulative people is next to non-existent.
Yeah.
Full agreement.
Ditto.
Yeah. You know, and when we, you know,
I was so much more patient with that. No,
Mhm. Yeah, more so than
know.
you should have been even back then.
probably. Yeah.
You know, when you see the same types of people, when you've been doing it long enough, you see the same types of people cause the same problems again and again, and all you can do is warn others of it, and then wash your hands. That's all you can do. It's because
Yep.
you can. I mean, I'm an officer in 2 separate guilds, and I will say things, and I will be like, okay, this person's going to be a problem, and they're like, well, they haven't. I'm like, all right. Just remember this conversation when 2 months from now this falls apart, and typically it does. And trust me, I'm always hopeful that I'm wrong. I would rather be wrong about people than right, at least on the negative. I'm hoping that you're a really good person and I turned out to be wrong, then I'm kind of bummed. Thankfully, I think everyone's dog shit, so that doesn't happen too often. The other kind, ERP collectors. the
Oh,
look
no.
at me's, the event stealers, the badass edgelords, the mixers, the metagamers. It's all fairly clear after you've done this for a while
Yep.
who someone is on the bad end of RP.
Yep.
And
You can pick them out. You
yeah.
can see them coming a mile off. You know
Yeah.
who they are.
yeah,
Sad but true.
But the good side of this as well is that it also makes it far easier the more experience you have to spot a very good role player very quickly. You'll know who you like almost right away because you know what you like and what you want and what you can see. You can see it in other people. And that is definitely probably the biggest and best. You know, it's unfortunate when you can see the like, all right, well, this person's probably going to be a problem, or they're going to be a half and half problem. Like they're going to be great one half, and if they have a bad day, they're going to be a shit stick. You know, and then, but sometimes you'll find really good people like T. You know, she's okay. She's not bad. She's pretty decent.
She's pretty cool, Khajiit.
Yeah, I mean for a pair of shoes waiting to happen, she's not bad.
Oh my god.
Oh, they're comfy shoes. They'll be very warm.
Fur-lined boots, no less.
Fur-lined, that's
oh
right.
my gosh. You are both so bad.
Yeah, she knows we love her. But well, and like I said, but with people like T, there's a lot of there's some really good role players out there, and they do a lot. They like I was saying earlier with that thing, between that Discord channel, T was in there as well, and she was the only. When I said there was nobody that came out looking good, I actually take that back. T was the only one I was watching that was constantly, guys, enough, stop, just take it to tells, take it to here. She was doing what she was supposed to do, and that is the sign of somebody that knows what they're doing and is actually doing good, that has the best interest of the community and everyone around her. Whereas the majority of everybody else was just poking each other, like, just had that stick and just poking the other guy in the eye, or the ones that were instigating on the sidelines and things like that. But when
Some
you find
people
somebody
just
like that,
drama, OOC drama, and it's just, to me, if you like OOC drama, take it somewhere else. Because I don't have time. I want to go into the game and have fun. RPing, I don't want to have to deal with OOC shit.
yeah,
That's why I am not a guild leader, or ever will be.
yeah, exactly. And it does take us, and I actually enjoy. I do enjoy. I get frustrated with it sometimes, but I do enjoy trying to help make the role play better and things like that in my own guilds that I'm in. When I'm, not crazy, stupid, busy, and not really able to do anything as I have been the last little bit. But it's just, it's the one real good side. I mean, actually, I guess if you want to look at it from a different perspective, being able to spot the problem children is actually a really good thing too, because then it helps you avoid them, and perhaps others can also steer away, or be at least understand that, okay, well, this is a possibility, so there's some good things. But when it comes down to it, really, no, you're not getting too old for you're not getting too old for this shit. You're not getting you can't get too old for role play unless you lose your love of being creative and in the time and the ability to want to do it. You can, however, shift your focus, which I think is really, in the end, what happens. Is as I've gotten older, my focus is shifted. I want more 3 and 4 dimensional characters. I don't need the 2-dimensional, look at the sword I just grabbed out of so and so's raid because my character in character found it, or I found all the sky shards in Tamriel because somehow I magically know there were only 240 or whatever there are of them.
Even if you get really burned, you can take a break and then come back to it fresh. You just got to, like Ashton said, shift perspective and look for quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And you just quality. It comes down to, now I think where I'm at, it's quality over quantity.
Yes, sir.
I would rather have 1 or 2 really good roleplay sessions throughout the week than do something for 4 hours 6 days out of the week.
I agree with that.
And not be able to remember any of it. And not everybody, and that's not to say that you can't roleplay for 6 hours every day out of the week and not come out with some really great stuff, but a lot of that is going to be monotonous, just kind of, boring stuff. Just the like mundane stuff that you might do around your own house, you'll be doing in character in your guild house. Is the cleaning, dusting things in your guild is not necessarily as much fun as, a good conversation. Kind of like dusting shit in your house is not as much fun as sitting down and talking to your, husband or wife, or God help you if you're that desperate, your children, if you have to talk to them.
Uh-huh.
Oof.
If you have to talk to them, oh my goodness.
They're just the worst. They're young. They're teenagers. It's just nothing worth listening to. It's just all bad. So, all right. Well, with that, anybody have any final words that you have on this? Are you getting too old? Huh?
I think if you feel that you're getting too, might be, and just take some time and distance yourself and get a breather and then recenter yourself and find the focus. It's just a process. And I think that as we get older, we maybe need to do that more often.
I would say, like I said before, look for the quality people. They are there. And develop that. You'll be greatly surprised, and you'll get a lot of the crap RP gone.
Yeah, go out of your way to find them. And yes, T, we actually do know somebody that claimed in character to have found the Sky Shards.
Yes.
I'm not that creative to come up with such a stupid, piss poor idea. That actually
hates
happens.
all caves. I'm looking at you for quality, bro.
Yeah, Caves is he's a good solid role player too.
He's a good dude.
Although he's not here tonight. That lousy handbag. Probably had real life stuff to do.
Tell you what, I'll get the boots out of it. You can have the handbag. We'll
right.
both be happy.
Exactly.
I'm telling.
Nah, he would never hear this on his own. But all right, well, I guess if that's that, want to thank everybody. Appreciate everybody that tuned in live. Everybody that's listening on the podcast. Didn't have any callers this episode, but that's all right. It's all right. I think we had this one good.
On the line.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. All right. Well, before we drop the show here, let's go to our resident handbag, Ericus, on the call lines. How's it going, Ericus?
Hello. Thanks for having me there. I heard Ashton mention my character's name there, so I was like, oh, you know what? It mentioned me. I had to make an appearance. Know how they brought me into this little crazy fold.
Check your ears. It was me that said you were quality, bro.
I'm sorry. Were you the face of the show? I wasn't too certain. All right.
Oh!
I remember that boot.
You
boot
are
boy.
one of the favorites.
Oh, Strafe, it's okay. I don't know, somebody likes you.
Nobody likes you.
Your brother likes you.
He
There you
doesn't
go.
count. His family has to.
No, Ericus, did you hear what they were saying about your character?
Man, what a
Calling
narc.
him calling him a
Narc.
You were talking about
Narc.
my caves that way.
Oh, well, I felt like I have to come in here and say a few words on the quick matter. I know you were wrapping things up there. I just had to feel like I should feel to say this there. Yes, I was very, very fortunate to find Jazz, the one who brought me into this roleplay fold, and this is when I first searching for roleplay. It was on SWTOR. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
I was, unfortunately, you have to say, it was in that mindset. The edgelord. I was a pure blood Sith. Like, all right, let's go through this bar. What kind of fools I can mess with? What character stands out the most was actually, so if I pronounce your character's name wrong, Kiriv or
Kiriv, yeah.
Kiriv. All right, good, first try. So. Yeah, and it's like, okay, this is an interesting little, don't see too much of these Sith Twi'lek aboard, so we interacted, and it's like, okay, she role plays differently on her. She used verbs, she used...
Wow, way to set that bar real high there, Ericus.
But
This is why we love you.
Oh my god.
yeah. So yeah, and then it's to be continued to next time, and so I started following her around, this and that, met other folks.
Stalker.
No kidding.
Diehard fan. Yep.
Yeah, he got drug into a lot of Kiki. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, very open mind about some of the roleplay suggestions. I was a little skeptical, but let's pull this through, and in the end, I did have fun. I know, taught me well. I get that whispers in chat, in private chat, if I say something out of character I shouldn't supposed to, or do something the wrong way. She gets, the hands reaching out the screen, trying to pull my ears. Like, now you listen here. You don't be okay.
Yeah.
I was nice.
She does do that.
She'll pull you by the ear and just she'll shake you like a British nanny. I tell you.
Now, this is how you say OC. Okay, great. Do that.
In
Breaking the rules.
parentheses.
Metaphorically speaking.
Y'all are mean to me. I was nice.
We're mean because we love you.
No, Sib's the nice one. We can
That's
only
right.
have one
Sibs
nice one. Everyone else
the
is
nice
rotten.
one. That's true.
That's right. So.
Well, I'm evil, but I'm still nice. I'm
mean.
polite.
Yeah.
Lawfully-
Whatever you say, Attila.
She's like,
So.
I will say, with Ericus, I met him in EQ2, and there's just something about certain people I have an easier time RPing with. And it was funny because we kind of all came to ESO about the same time, and I did not even realize I knew him in EQ2 until we had been role playing maybe a couple months, and then I was like, we got to talking OC about what other games we had played, and come to find out he was this character that was super nice to my little Erisai.
gee, I wonder how we all got over here. Cough.
Yeah,
Your guys were all welcome.
it was
Yeah. Okay.
nice
Whatever.
because I feel like I just am attracted to certain people's kind of role play. Like it's not a lot of it is non-pressure. It's very friendly. There's no expectations. And I will say he's one of those great people to RP with. And I just have so much fun, and I consider him like a wonderful friend. So, I mean, I feel like you're attracted to certain kind of role play. Either, the drama,
When I met him,
going.
he was very laid back, and even though his character was a bit of an ass, we immediately connected. I sent him a text, Celie, just apologizing for Kiki because she's such a raving bitch. And he laughed, and he was like, I've had a great time, thank you. And it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But, and it's turned into this years and years and years of, and he's always, and you're getting a big head, I'm sure, but you've always had such a wide variety of characters that you play, and they're always fun and well thought out. And I knew immediately that you were going to be a lot of fun, and you always have been. There you go.
Diversity.
This Caves Hour appreciation brought to you by Hates All Caves.
Hey, you
Hates
guys
All
were the ones
Caves.
that
Your token
drew 'em out.
Argonian with River Wisdom.
That's right. All right. We appreciate you calling in, Ericus.
Yes,
much.
thank you.
It's one last thought is good because I like how we need to branch out to a much younger wide of our peers. Like when I was young myself there, and I like to pass on the role playing teachings she taught me, and I can once I get older run my own future guild some point in the future,
Yes.
and I'll bring these teachings onto others who are willing to use verbs.
That high standard of verbs. If that's
uses
not
verbs.
whenever you make a guild, if the first lesson is or first rule isn't must use verbs, I'm not going to join.
I should appreciate. All right. But yes, that's my
Yeah.
opinion on this matter. So yes, thank you for letting me in last minute.
Well,
Thank you,
appreciate you
Erica.
getting in at 0 hour, bud. You have a good night. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, in Wildstar is sunset. It will eventually be an ESO killer. probably years from now when ESO shuts down after it did. Don't worry. Time is not linear; it's cyclical. So, in some universe, ESO will have shut down before WildStar. Going off of what people are talking about in the chat. Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm. No, WildStar was a garbage game with a lot of good ideas that just didn't quite come through. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, with that, let's start this music up and actually try to get out of here at a decent time tonight. So appreciate everybody tuning in.
Thanks for coming.
Over at twitch.tv. I was just twitch.tv/RPMMO Radio. Remember, if you are interested in the little Drama Llama stickers there on the chat, we have several of them. Patreon.com/RPMMO Radio. Sign up. $5 level or above. There's a few other little things as well. The higher up you go, we'll send a couple of them out to you. And appreciate everybody that tuned in live. Everybody that's listening on the podcast again. I, of course, am Ashen Phoenix, and I want to thank my crew, Jazz, Sib, Strafei, Rahanar, and Yunfei in the chat, without which this show would just be me rambling on aimlessly for 2 hours, which would probably be even more incoherent than it already is. So, with that, tune in next time for a halfling recipe on how many it would take to create a Philosopher's Stone for eternal life. Next time on RPMMO Radio. Good night, everybody! The thoughts and opinions of those on RPMMO Radio are just that and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.